Well, hello there, hey everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. Hope everybody is having a fantastic little day. What are you shaking your head for, man?
Because it's the big day.
Everybody is having a fantastic little day. Sorry, big day. Everybody is having a fantastic. Why is it a big day? What did I miss?
Well, I don't know. It's Saturday.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh yeah. Wait, let me quickly share this on Twitter so that everybody knows.
I'm sharing it on Twitter right now too.
Twitter, in it.
Well,
So, what's up, David? What's up, man? How you doing?
what's up, man? What's up?
Wonderful, wonderful. So, yes, welcome to the Mike Winger Show, everybody. Shakespeare, thank you so much for the reminder. Be a minimalist Christian and learn a science like many before. Powerful, powerful. Could be a good song for the Euro Song Contest, by the way. I know they should consider my intro song for their Eurovision Song Contest. Unlike last year, I was actually I was not interested at all in the music that was being played there, but I watched it just to keep up with how
Wait,
people
you
are
mean
reacting
this
to
year?
Israel.
This year you weren't interested, or last year you weren't interested?
Last year I was very interested. This year I wasn't interested at all. And
Oh, okay. So after becoming a Christian, you aren't interested anymore. Okay.
honestly, I have to say, honestly, it has something to do with that as well. Because earlier today I sat down and I thought, oh, the Eurovision thing is going on right now. Let me turn it on and see what's happening. So I turn on the TV, and as soon as I turn it on, I see some weird performance on a bunch of men walking around like and I thought, okay, I'm not interested. So I turned it off. Like maybe last year I would have tolerated watching it, but this time I can't. Um, but I did keep up with the results and with how people vote and all, and it's kind of funny. Popular vote Israel across Europe.
It'd be cool to submit a song because they apparently let you do act things out on stage and stuff. So you should submit a song about the love between Muhammad and the men of Al Zut.
Oh yeah,
And then you can have like, oh, it could even be we could even get vocab as Prophet Muhammad up on stage, and then like all these dudes are around
yeah.
him.
Yeah. So the only thing that I was interested in was public perception of Israel at this moment, because of course this is as much as the contest is supposed to be about music, it was all about Israel. Once again, for weeks they have been protesting, saying don't allow Israel and all that. So
Hey, you see that dork? You see that dork who's they had to hold back when she was singing?
yeah, I did. So here is the popular vote. The popular vote by popular vote, Israel became first, number one, and received like 260 something votes or something, which is like the highest in the whole competition. And as much as I don't care about the music or about the contest or about the others, there's just something very, very funny to point out here, which is why I care about it. So at one point, the jury of each country votes, and Israel was at like, I don't know, 16 or something like that. And then as soon as it switched to popular vote by country, and they don't pool the vote together. They count country by country separately. So each country can only, like each country, even if a country has like 50,000 votes and another has 5,000 votes, they don't impact each other. They only are valid on, impacting the total count or the percentage within their own country. Israel, as soon as the popular vote announced, skyrocketed from like 16 or 15 to number one. And now the list of popular votes is also out, and the audience with audience votes, Israel is number one by far. What
Big
this
league.
tells you is that there is a huge campaign against Israel going on the media, in the public, and all of that. And the jury, which consists of these leftist elitist people, are also kind of mobilizing against Israel. But then once the average population that sits at home and actually votes in this kind of stuff starts voting, you suddenly see Israel getting incredibly popular, which means the people of Europe still love Israel. And despite it's funny because people say the Jews or the Zionists or Israel controlling the media. Clearly not. because the media is the one that is trying to depict Israel as very bad and trying to depict everyone against Israel, but the people vote for Israel in solidarity. And yes, it's not about music anymore. It's just about people wanting to support Israel or wanting to support a different country. That's just how it is.
So you're saying Israel controls the people.
Yes.
Huh. Okay.
Why do I have this open? Oh yeah, I was watching this debate earlier today and trolling the chat. There was a debate between this guy Ubi Petrus and this guy Voice of Reason, who has a very solid voice. I didn't listen to what they were saying, but the guy's voice is just, look at this. Oh wait, you can't hear it. What's happening?
Oh, can't hear it. I don't think he has any voice.
The Pan-Orthodox Synod in Crete in 2016. At the very last minute, 1/3 of the
Yeah.
Hey, I know that dude. I met that dude out in California. Sounds like
You
Rocky
did?
Balboa. Sounds like Rocky Balboa. Yeah.
Powerful. It was a very powerful debate. Interestingly,
Sounds exactly like. I mean, he could. I don't know what he does, but he could do like. He could do voiceovers for shows or cartoons or something like that, where you need someone who kind of is like a parody of Rocky Balboa because he sounds exactly like him.
Powerful. So, David, have you heard of Christianity?
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
It's a bunch of pagan stuff because, like, what happened was you had these Jews, and then the Apostle Paul was like, "How do I change the powerful message of this Jesus guy? I know. I'll start another religion, and I'll take all the elements of paganism and I'll insert them in there." And so then that happened, and so Christianity became thoroughly pagan because of the Apostle Paul. And then centuries went by, and then they keep getting persecuted by the Roman Empire because they wouldn't compromise with paganism. And then Constantine was like, "I know what I'll do. I will take over Christianity and make it all kinds of pagan." And then fortunately, we couldn't see how pagan it was. But then a bunch of people who French kiss a pagan rock and walk circles around a pagan shrine were able to inform us that all this stuff was pagan and so on, and that it was inserted in there by the Apostle Paul. And then Christians were persecuted for centuries because they wouldn't compromise with paganism, and then even more paganism. So they had to double down on the paganism. Anyway, that's the history of Christianity according to our Muslim friends.
Oh, so this was according to Sajid Lipham. And now, if you were to give your own opinion of Christianity, what would you say?
Well, it's
Christianity is based.
It's based. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, even the atheists admit it now.
Oh, okay, that's good. All right, so I specifically wanted to be here in person on this live stream instead of inviting one of my friends, Afro, or the others, just to sit here and to speak about a few things. So those few things would be my conversion to Christianity. And I went to, this last week, I actually went to informally speak to my priest and to confess for the first time, which I think technically doesn't really count until you are properly baptized or something. But still, I did. So, and after I went on, after I confessed, he basically was like, he said, I have lost all hope in humanity after I heard you speak. No, he didn't, but he joked a little bit about how I have to do some.
Was this before or after he spent an hour vomiting?
After.
Okay.
He said you have to do some penance, and the penance was carrying a table with him to adjust something in the church. And I was like, okay, good, wonderful, perfectly done. And then as we did that, I told him a few things that were on my mind for being for quite a while now. And what he said to me was what you just told me. I wish that you also say this to people in general. So I do want to do that. And I also want to make a video about this stuff because I have been kind of keeping to myself and keeping quiet about this whole conversion to Christianity thing. and have been basically just reading and listening and learning and all that, instead of speaking about it very much, because I didn't want to make it too public of where I am in my conversion. I didn't want to make it too public, what I'm currently going through, what I'm studying, and so on. I didn't want to be impacted by the public or impact the public with my ignorant takes. So I tried to keep to myself during this whole process as much as possible, and I still kind of do. But as I was talking to my priest, we kind of put into perspective the process of me getting fully accepted into the church and getting baptized, which I still have not. So I still haven't been baptized. I'm supposed to, in the Orthodox Church, do my catechism, meaning learning everything about the church, learning everything about the faith, learning all the basics, all the stuff that I need to know. And once I'm done with that, once I'm basically ready to join, I am supposed to, and if I'm sure that I want to join, I'm supposed to get baptized. So we talked about this, and my priest also wants to kind of accelerate the process a little bit, just because it's not just me on my own who is just coming in as a baby, but rather my wife, although she was an atheist for like 10 years or so, she technically grew up in what is called an evangelical Orthodox church, which is a Protestant church that kind of adopted certain Orthodox things, but they were never really fully Orthodox. But she has quite a grasp of Orthodoxy, and has been also for much longer than me, before I joined, has been approaching the Orthodox Church and has been learning. What?
Hey, remember a couple days ago when someone in the super chat asked David, what was more surprising, Nabil converting or AP converting? And I was like, neither one of them was really converting, because you could kind of see them changing over time and so on. So it wasn't it didn't come out of nowhere. It was things led up to it and stuff like that. Afterwards, I was like, Mrs. Apostate was the surprising one. That's the one that came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? That was like totally unexpected. Didn't see anything leading up to it.
It's actually funny because I just talked about this with her earlier today, as we were sitting. There was a time years ago where some people might remember, when I started having massive anxiety attacks and all that, and I started getting really really desperate about it, didn't know how to handle it, and started getting a little bit reclusive about it, and so on. I went to a doctor, and funnily enough, my doctor asked me, "Do you believe in God?" And I was like, "Not really." And she was like, "I mean, I would recommend maybe, going into some direction and finding a solution that soothes your soul. Maybe just imagine that hell is basically what you're experiencing when you have an anxiety attack." And it's like, I thought to myself, this is very weird. This feels like I guess this happens only in America. If I was in Germany, I would have never had a doctor tell me that the solution would be to believe in God. But I went home to my wife and told her about this. And around that time, my wife was actually she felt very, very sad about my anxiety stuff too. And she was looking for solutions, and she was considering believing in God and, becoming Christian. And at that time, with my desperations, I did also think, I wish I believed in God. I wish I had something to hope for, somebody to ask help and all that. But it was short-lived. I didn't like it. And in fact, at that time, my wife at some point was increasingly saying stuff like, maybe we should pray together, maybe we should do this and we should do that. And then at that point, this was years ago, I actually told her, no, I don't want to do this. Okay. I don't believe in God. I think it's stupid. I don't believe in these things. As much as I've tried, I don't believe it. I don't think that prayer will do anything. I just don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to do this. And I guess she took that as a no-no, and things just were left like that there. Despite that, at the same time, I still had always my respect for Christianity and for religion and religiosity, but I was privately like, okay, no, I really don't want to believe. I really don't want to be a Christian. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's stupid.
You can't make me.
You can't make me. How dare you? And then later on, over the years, my wife kind of came back to being more religious. No, she was very, very anti-religious at some point, and she was talking trash about religion more so than me. And I was like, you
Way
need to
more
calm
so
down.
than you.
Yeah. Sometimes she would say something in the chat, and I'd be like, you need to calm. Can you please calm down? I can't focus when you type stuff like that in the chat. But then later on, as I was exploring, around the time that we went to Jerusalem, to Israel, and came back, she was exploring. She was going back to being religious and all that. But I don't want to go through the whole process of explaining all of this again. I occasionally found myself in being also interested, feeling something, getting my feelings back, and going to religiosity. And I did experiment with Catholicism and explore it. Experiment sounds very weird when you talk about a religion. Eventually ended up going to the Orthodox Church for many, many different reasons. That said, here are certain things that I want to say. And this is very serious, and I think I want to make a video about this as well. So, the time that we went to Israel, David and I, you and I, it was very, very, it was very dramatic, because David didn't feel anything because he's a psychopath. But for me, I'm like the opposite of a psychopath. If I see very sad, very sickening things, it affects me very, very deeply. It actually deeply hurts me and pushes me to certain extremes. So when we went there, and especially the time that we went to the place where the October 7 attack happened, and we saw a few things, and I also watched some videos after that, coming back from Israel, I was conflicted because on the one hand, it felt like emotionally and spiritually impacted and changed by our trip to Israel. But at the same time, I also started building enormous hate and anger and vengeance. So when we came back from there, that's when I started during some of our live streams saying really, really harsh, really messed up stuff.
Extremely messed up stuff.
Yeah.
Like you sounded like Hamas would sound, but you were against Hamas, right?
Yeah.
You sounded like that. The streets will flow with the blood of every Palestinian. Stuff like that.
So, and the thing is, when I look back at it, if I look at all of that from a non-Christian perspective, I would still think, I see why I would hold those opinions, and I can kind of justify them. With a Christian mindset and with the mindset that I have nowadays, I can't justify them anymore. These were things that I said in the past, such as all Palestinians are Hamas, all Gazans are Hamas. I said those things at the same time as also saying Hamas must be eradicated. What are the implications of this?
Messed up stuff. And I'll go ahead and point out, you kept saying no matter how horrible something was that happened, you just keep repeating, I don't care. Like, it was messed up. You're like, hey, 17 people died. Like, I don't care. I don't care.
At some point, I was saying stuff like, I was saying, so I don't want to get into the specifics of what I said and did not say, but basically my mindset after going to Israel and after being there, talking to people and looking at footage is that I became even more extreme about this, which is kind of funny, but I became even more extreme about this than Israelis are actually, and then the survivors are. I took it very, 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 very harsh. I don't know, and maybe it was also because I didn't really have much to stand on. I was just against things, and I was thinking I stand for humanity. I stand for these people that I love. And when I see big mistreatment, I have to react with huge vengeance and anger and hate and all that. So with that whole mindset, I did say certain things like, I guess there is no other solution. Lots of people have to die. Lots of people have to be killed. Lots of people have to be removed. And no matter how many people die, they just asked for it and so on. So I did say these things. I did justify lots of hate. I did justify a lot of anger. I did justify a lot of violence. I did say very often that certain people are just irredeemably evil, and there's just no other way to go about it except to simply, get rid of them and all that. I have to say, I can't now go back and correct every single thing that I said. I can't go through my Twitter account and now find every single bad thing that I said and kind of delete it. I also won't say that the sentiment was completely and entirely wrong and unjustified and in the wrong direction. I by no means think that that Hamas or most of the people in the Palestinian territories are fantastic people. By no means. But looking at it now with a new mind and a new perspective, reacting to everything that that I saw with just hate and anger and destruction is not acceptable. And honestly, to certain extents, I also said some really messed up things because I thought it feels good to say them. It feels good to express the anger and all that. I'm just being very honest right now. I wouldn't say those things today. So if I contributed in the past to contributing more to anger and more to vengeance, more to killing, more to condemnations and all of that, I have to say I repent of that, and I want to apologize to all those that I have impacted with this, and all those who have been whose lives have been in some way impacted by this, whose thoughts and whose faith and whose sentiments have been somehow impacted by this. I still find myself looking at the situation, at the conflict, very much on the side of the Israelis, insofar that I think that the Israelis are the ones that that constantly are under attack by those who don't want them to exist, and I fully want to defend the right of Israelis and Israel to exist. I can still say with full honesty that they were the nicest, the kindest people that I have seen in any country. That said, my wish for their opponents, for the so-called Palestinian people, wouldn't be anymore to just be ruthless with them. It would be that they see a better way, that they learn, that their minds are opened, that God opens their minds and their hearts, that they become better people, that both sides have their hearts softened. As much as I think that Israel is in the right here in this conflict, it is I see it in myself that I have gone I've gone very, very far in hate and vengeance and all that. And of course, it is undeniable that on the Israeli side, lots of people who are in the middle of this war will also be at some point blinded and will be angry and all that. But it is the Bible, the Tanakh, which the Jews also read, which speaks of being when you have the upper hand and when you fight, of forgiving and of giving the other side a chance and not treating people with endless hate. I have learned a new way, and I have to say my wish today would be for all those Palestinians to become better people, and even those who have done brutal atrocities. I find myself praying for them nowadays rather than just hating them. And I would hope that even those who have done horrible things in certain conflicts against other people would find it in their hearts at some point to change and become better people. I would hope that Israelis would find peace in the future and have an environment, a world where they can live in peace with all the others. I would hope that and pray that God makes everything in this region better. I don't want to make this like I don't want to make this as a virtue signaling session. That's not what this is about. But I would say that I have probably contributed with my rhetoric to a lot of bad stuff in the past, and I don't want to stand for that anymore. and I want to take some responsibility and get rid of that, and want to pray. And there is something that I said even at those times, and I want to say that again now with full conviction. In the ideal world, the Muslims in the region would convert to Christianity. They would become Christians. And once they become Christians, things would change hugely. And the world, not only their own world, the world altogether, but also their own inner world would become a much better place. So I no longer think or no longer believe or no longer advocate for violent solutions or mass killings and all that, but rather for changing and opening their eyes for a better future and for more hope, for belief in God and all that. So, yeah.
One question. You said the Israelis were the nicest people in the world. How do you reconcile that with them spitting on you wherever you went? And even more importantly, on me.
Good question. Well, the thing is, you have to see the good and bad in everything. So when you went around being spat on in Israel as a Christian, you didn't have to take a shower afterward.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Powerful stuff. It is funny though that you were walking around with a giant cross on your chest, and including under the most holy place of Judaism,
At a bar mitzvah.
At a bar mitzvah, in the presence of a bunch of IDF soldiers celebrating, and everyone was nothing but kind to you. But then we go online, it's like, oh, don't you know that in Israel they spit on you?
Yes. And people were telling me that before I went there, while I was there. Why aren't you posting the videos of them spitting on you? Stop hiding the truth. And then after, of course.
People are insane, man. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. But hey, I was very insane too. And yeah. I want things to change for the better. I don't know how else to express this. But hey, so I think I'm going to make a video about this and also post about this again, because I think this is important, and it has bothered me. There are of course things that I deal with on a personal level, but this is beyond just bothering me on a personal level. This is very public. And I know that over the last 2 years, lots of people have rebuked me online for being very ruthless and messed up. And the thing is,
and you said, I don't care. I don't care.
Whenever people said it, whenever people tried to call me out for being too ruthless or being too hateful and all that, what I felt inside was just, haha, so what? I don't care. And I just wanted to say it again. Things are different now. And I'm very happy where I am, because I know for some people it's very entertaining when I sit here, when people like me sit here and just double down on really, really outrageous speech and all that. But there is an aspect of it which might not be very, very important to you as a viewer, but to me as the person who says those messed up things. And that aspect is how much it darkens me inside, and how much it turns me into a really, really messed up person, and how I feel when I turn off the camera and I am on my own. Because then I am alone with all the really dark and really messed up, really raging, hateful, angry stuff that I say. And then I notice that I don't just hate those people, I hate myself, basically, and humanity, and all that. And I've replaced that hate with hope and faith and goodness. And I'm so happy.
Hey, Pete, you're right. You should make because you're saying this in a live stream. That would be good to have handy in like a 5 to 10 minute video or something like that. For people who aren't, lots of people who've watched you over the years aren't watching this live stream, so they won't know what you just said. Whereas a 5 to 10 minute video would be easier for them to see in the future.
Yeah.
You breaking down what you just said.
I'm also doing this just to get the praise because people say, "Oh, good man," and stuff.
Yes, what a wonderful man! You're the no wonder they're fast tracking you to become the new pope.
Yeah, Lone Wolf says you've really grown spiritually. Well, this is why I'm doing it. I just want to get the praise.
A saint. This is the most beautiful story I've ever seen in my life.
No, but seriously, yeah, I said it all. I don't need to add anything to that. Anything else, David, that you want to say? I'll be right back. I got to get something sorted now. You can talk.
I'll take over. Hey, you want me to take some super chats while you're gone?
Yeah, you can do that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Super Chats with the Dizzle. Hang on, where are they? I actually have access to his stuff. Okay. I will look for stuff that doesn't actually involve AP. Hey, what's this? Congrats, David, on 9,000 X posts. Oh, hi, AP. What's new? How do you know how many X posts I have? I've posted 9,000 times on X. That's pretty crazy. Huh. Does that tell you on X that I did that, or is that some website? Anyway, I didn't know there's cool stuff like that. Here we have, that was really cool. Wes Huff dropped into live stream. Yeah, for anyone who didn't see it last night, we were doing a live stream about Wes Huff appearing with Andrew Schultz and some other guys and so on. We're watching parts of it. And then everyone started arguing about the canon of the Bible. And Wes posts a super chat saying, "Hey, let me in. And so anyway, yeah, Wes joined us for, I don't even know how long, an hour or so. Broke things down. So yeah, that was cool. That was cool of Wes. And then it was all over. And now we have to cry. Let's see. A bunch of these AP might want to actually respond. What is this? I saw Wes Huff pull up to your stream. It's going to be an amazing year for the Dizzle and AP from a long-time fan. Yeah, guys, this is, we talked about this a little bit during the stream, matter of fact, this was the last thing I asked Wes, because if you go back a few months, I posted a video about why Christians should be getting excited about 2025, the way things are going, the trajectory. And Wes is kind of one component of how awesome things are going in 2025. It's not just, that someone's on. It's like you have all of these huge podcasts, Joe Rogan, PBD, that one with Andrew Schultz, several others where they're actually wanting to talk about Christianity and the Bible and so on. And I don't know. It didn't seem like that. It didn't seem like that a few years ago. And now every huge podcast out there, he was on Piers Morgan breaking down the evidence for Christianity and so on. Like all these big shows are like, hey, let's get this guy on to tell us about Christianity for hours. Pretty awesome stuff. Awesome times to be in. Yo, man.
Yo, what's up, man?
Hey, do you know that I've told you before that blood clot it's like a curse word.
What's blood clot?
Here's the thing. I've mentioned this to you probably a couple years ago or something like this, but when we went to church in Queens, so we lived in the Bronx for many years. Our church was in Queens because there's an awesome church down there. But there was this Jamaican dude in there, right? And the only thing I knew about anything Jamaican, well, I did know a Jamaican guy in prison and so on, but he used to say it. He used to say blood clot. But I basically knew it from that Steven Seagal movie. I forget which one it was, Marked for Death or something like that. It was him versus all these Jamaican dudes. But these guys are going around and everything. They say, blood clot, right? So whenever I see this Jamaican dude walking down the stairs, because I would go to the service after him, and he'd be walking down the stairs, and I'd be walking up the stairs and go, "Hey, blood clot, man!" Like it's cool, like it's saying Cool Runnings or something like this. Finally, after months of this, he pulls me aside and he goes, "Yeah, that's like a cuss word that you're yelling, man. That's a cuss word." It's like, and I was like, "What? They yell it all the time? They yell it all the time in Mark?" And then I was thinking, "Oh yeah, when they're like killing somebody." I just thought it was something cool that Jamaican dudes yell and stuff all the time. Anyway,
blood clot,
man.
Sounds like blood clot.
They are saying blood clot, right? Like in Islam, that all human beings go through a blood clot stage.
Oh yeah,
embryonic development. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. Anyway, man. Anyway. What's up, man? What's up, man? What's up? Yeah. So some people have been are asking why I look like this now, but it's because as I was looking into Christianity and I was looking into the Orthodox Church, I saw and heard repeatedly that that the one thing that you have to do when you join the church and when you become a Christian is to change yourself, and you have to make some changes about yourself. So. I thought, how could I change things about myself? So I decided to get a new look. So this is what I look like now. And this is actually a very common tradition in Eastern Orthodox Christianity, where if you become an Orthodox Christian, you actually start looking like this. So this is basically what it is. Arctic Base, what?
One love.
Yeah. Yo, my man AP from the Strait to the Sea, Constantinople will be free. Peace.
All right.
Indeed. Hey, I don't know if anybody noticed, but I actually hid something on the back of our of this live stream's thumbnail. Did you notice? Did you
No, I
notice?
didn't notice.
I actually put the tip of the Hagia Sophia on the back of this thumbnail. It's kind of funny.
Oh, what? Where? Oh, that's what that is.
That's what that is. It's powerful, man. Powerful.
You got a big
powerful
cross
stuff.
on there. Looks like you
Yeah.
got 2 crosses on there, man.
Yeah, there's one cross and then there's a bigger cross there. See? You can see it right here.
Yep.
What's back there it's the Hagia Sophia. So the messaging here is very clear. It is happening. What is happening? Well, I am converting to Christianity. But when I'm converting to Christianity, what else is happening with that? Well, I said it before. When I convert to Christianity, we will take back the Hagia Sophia. We will take back Constantinople and we will give it over to we will make it a church again. We will give it over to Greece. This is the plan. So Greece, brace yourselves.
Or we could keep it.
I don't know. I don't really want to keep it, man. I don't know what to do.
Okay, fine. We'll give it to Greece. Are we giving all Turkey to Greece? Or
No,
just Constantinople.
only Constantinople. Maybe some of the western parts of it. Maybe I could give that to Greece. But so very much that, and maybe we could give it over to the Ecumenical Patriarchate, the Orthodox Church. They could use it again because they're kind of very much living with under under Turkish rule, and the Turkish government is not very nice. It's very messed up. So there is an organization which is called Archons for the Ecumenical Patriarchate, Archons of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, which is an organization that advocates for the rights of the Orthodox Church in Constantinople. But if you look at stuff that they are working on, it's actually very, very messed up. So here is their website. The Archons of the Ecumenical Patriarchate. Here's Patriarch Bartholomew. So this is the primary head of Greek Orthodox Christians in Turkey, and many Orthodox Christians around the world. But some of the stuff that they deal with is actually that Turkey, as the head of the state, the Turkish government reserves the right to interfere directly. Look, the Turkish government imposes restrictions on the election of the ecumenical patriarch and hierarchs who vote for him by requiring that they must be Turkish citizens. In fact, the government arbitrarily can veto any candidate for the position of ecumenical patriarch. So imagine this. The Greek Orthodox Christians come together and they appoint a new patriarch, a new head of the church. The Turkish government then comes in and says, nope. We don't approve of this patriarch. Choose a different one. And the Orthodox Church has to obey or face the consequences. This is what Turkey does.
It's pretty messed up because, it's one thing if you had like a kind of neutral government and they just like, okay, we want to confirm that this isn't someone who's going to be, some radical lunatic or something like this. The Turkish government is like the last group on the planet I would trust to make decisions for Christianity.
Yeah.
And so that's extremely messed up.
So they directly interfere in the elections of the leader of the church, which is very, very, very messed up.
That's why we gotta bring it to an end.
Yes. The ecumenical patriarchate has no legal identity or bona fide legal personality in Turkey. I think Turkey doesn't recognize the ecumenical patriarchate as the ecumenical patriarchate, but rather just as the patriarchate. They don't want to recognize that this church actually is like covers Orthodox Christians around the world. They can't deal with the consequences, and so on. They have closed places belonging to the Orthodox Church. They have confiscated lots of places, and so on. So this is just the Turkish government is imposing some things on the Greek Orthodox Church, which is why it is now incumbent upon us to go and take back Constantinople and to give it and to hand it over and to make it Christian once again. So there you go. This is what we are working on right now. This is what I'm working on right now. Totally. Yes. Israel winning the public vote is hilarious. Makes all the pro-Palis furious. I know they are fuming right now. It's kind of funny.
It is. It is funny because, like, people live in these kind of bubbles, and lots of people have seen it with online stuff, right? Like you talk about with the Orthobros. If you're talking about Orthodox people on Twitter, you get the impression that Twitter is actually a reflection of what's actually going on in the world. But it's not. It's a massive distortion. It's a massive warped distortion of what's going on in the world. But it's similar if you're on a college campus and you're going around and like everything you do is free Palestine. Everyone's on your side and the school's on your side. And that's all you hear all day. You think, hey, the entire world is on our side. And then you see a Eurovision vote. It's like, no, most people think you're idiots.
Yeah, most people think you're stupid. Apostate, for a Catholic view of how the biblical canon came to be, please consider inviting onto your live stream Joe Heschmeyer or Jimmy Akin or Scott Hahn. I don't know who the others are, but I know Scott Hahn is a very, very, very significantly big guy in the modern Catholic Church. I think, isn't he one of the people who contributed to writing the Ignatius Study Bible, I believe. That's
well, why would we need any of these guys when we already had Wes Huff break it down?
That's true. That's true. You're right about that. So anyway,
good.
Request dismissed.
Request denied.
No, yeah, I would totally consider that. Would totally consider that. But
Scott, by the way, by the way, AP, there's like so much confusion over this and so many people saying different things when it's like with the Council of Nicaea when people say tons of stuff and yet the Council of Nicaea, they took copious notes of everything that happened. We know exactly what happened at the Council of Nicaea, right? But it's the same thing with we know what happened at various councils and so on. And so the idea that there would be so much disagreement or so many sort of myths and rumors going around about the history of things when you can actually just look things up and get to the truth. It would be good to, there's just gotta be like some core of information that everyone needs to learn. Like there's all these things that would be good to learn for some people or something like that. And then there are things that just everyone needs to know. And yet you still have tons of people who don't know them and so on. So anyway, be good to be good to make content on, okay, guys, whatever else you know, you need to know these basics about things.
Oh, look, I was right. See?
What?
Ignatius Catholic Study Bible, author Scott Hahn and Curtis Mitch, among others, I guess.
Okay, if Ignatius even existed.
Ignatius Study Bible is is one of the most solid study Bibles that I
does the Ignatius Study Bible exist?
You see, you see, but it would be very interesting. I am honestly thinking this is just something that is floating, that I'm floating in my head right now, and I'm not sure if I can actually do it. But with some help, I'm actually thinking of creating a second channel where I will regularly invite people to have conversations about Christianity, like scholars and stuff like that.
No one's gonna want to talk to you, man.
That's true. Arctic-based David, you could do a Blackstone Al-Zut song.
No, it says, could I?
Could you? No. Melon made a super chat. Thank you
Good.
so much. Ida Rogozin, what's up, Ida? Do you know the story
good,
of
let me think about
Yuval Raphael, the singer, and what she's been through? Yeah, I know that she's a survivor of the October 7th terrorist attack, and that she was actually at the Nova Music Festival site and was hidden under bodies for 8 hours or so until she was saved. And she's the singer who represented Israel at today's contest, which is pretty.
That's why it's crazy that she's singing and dudes are like trying to storm the stage to scream at her and stuff. And it's like, what did this lady do to make you absolutely hate and despise her so much that she can't even sing a song? Like, what? Oh, but she hid under a pile of dead bodies instead of just being killed like we want. Shame on her. No problem. People are messed up, man.
Doggy Style says,
Don't read it.
why did I have to read this?
Don't read it.
Christus
Hey.
is König said, what?
Hey, I asked you a while back. There's a song called "I Kissed a Girl." You said it was Katy Perry.
Yeah, it's actually
Is that who
Katy
did that?
Perry. Yeah.
Okay, so "Hips Don't Lie." That's the South American
Shakira, man. How
Hips
can you not know Shakira?
Shakira.
We read her
Okay.
Quran translation. So
I forgot the name, man. I know. I said South American. She's South American, right?
Yeah. She's
So anyway.
Colombian and Lebanese, actually.
Okay, so she sang "Hips Don't Lie," and Katy Perry sang "I Kissed a Girl." Muhammad's version could be "I Kissed a Rock." And because I'm just saying, that was a request, right? So I start thinking, but Muhammad's version could be "I Kissed a Rock," and it could be how smooching the black stone made him fall in love with black dudes and want to get gangbanged by Al Zut. So if I anyway, that was my first thought on how to go about
this
it.
is a pure Christian live stream today.
Oh,
and
sorry.
you're talking about
You're the one reading super chats, man. They brought it up. I didn't bring it up. I wasn't going to say a word.
What is this, man? Anyway,
here you are talking about kissing girls and Al Zut and all this stuff, man. We're trying to have a Christian show.
Christus ist König said, could Sajid as Momo handle hijab as Al Zut? Yes. Java on Beans, but thank you. Bidoof says, yo, what's up, man? I remember when we used to run Godless, and ironically, we both became Christian. Really? Godless to God bless. Did you? I remember that. That was when I was an Instagram dude. There was this account on Facebook named Godless, and I became an administrator on that site. And then I never used it. Kind of funny. Normal is overrated. One of us. Gooba, 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 gobba.
Gooba, gobble,
One
gooba,
of us.
gobble.
All jokes aside, I've been following you for what must have been 10 years now, AP. God bless you, bro. May peace of Christ be with you and continue to bless you and your fam. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It can't be 10 years because I haven't been around for 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I was like. No, didn't I hear about him in like what?
But maybe it feels like 10 years.
2016, 2017. That's why I'm looking it up right now.
I actually started posting. I posted my first video, I think, in 2008, beginning of 2018.
Was it? It was that late?
Yeah. I created my channel in 2017, but then I posted my first video in 2018. Pretty sure that's what I did.
Yeah, this says 7 years ago. I would have thought it was like 8 or 9. Introduction. Criticism of Islam from an ex-Muslim perspective. You know what? We should just watch your first video just for kicks sometime in this live stream, man. You should play your first video.
I would probably cringe at that, man.
Hi,
it's very awkward.
Hi. Oh, and that was before you even spoke English. You were like, hello, I am the Apostate Prophet.
I am Apostate Prophet.
Me no speak good English, but me say me no like Islam.
Oh wait, it says posted November 10, 2017. Okay, well, it was still
2017.
End of November. This was my first video.
Introduction. You got 70,000 though on your first video, man.
Look at this.
Hey, your some of your stuff took off pretty quick, man.
Look at this.
Look at it. You don't even know. You don't have a light window behind. You're not supposed to have a light source behind your head, man.
I
mean,
didn't even
lessons
know
for
how to make
backlight, but
videos, man. I didn't even know I didn't even know how to record a proper video in the proper aspect ratio or anything. It's like I just sat down and turned on the camera and then started talking. And I thought,
this is
you know
terrible.
what? I know what I'm going to talk about. That's all I know, I thought. But it went very well. It took off.
Hey, no, it did. I'm just looking at your first several videos. So that one got 70,000. And then you had one
I
on
like my
persecution,
videos.
73,000,
Because I like
93,000,
my videos.
154,000. And then your your fifth video was about the age of Aisha. That got over 500,000.
Wait, let me.
And then three videos later, you had The Whole Truth, Why I Left Islam 1, that got 837,000. And then you had Why I Left Islam 2, 22 Reasons, and 593,000. So you started getting a ton of views real quick.
Look, this is so funny because on the thumbnail of this video here, 22 Reasons, you can see that on my hand I have a Band-Aid because I cut my finger and I just put Band-Aid over it, but I didn't even care to take it off or to fix it for the photo. I just put it on there.
And it's funny, you've got your dumb picture in all these.
Yeah. I was making the dumbest thumbnails and it was actually taking off.
Did you draw that yourself?
This one, yeah, I did.
So you just drew it yourself and you're like, hey, I'll use that for everything.
Yeah. I drew that one day as a joke and I thought, hey, this looks kind of funny. So
it does look kind of funny.
So I started using that and now everybody loves it.
And the thumbnail of your first video.
Change it, man.
Yeah, look at the thumbnail of your first video. It just says the Apostate Prophet.
Yeah.
And then that picture.
Yeah. Now people won't allow me to change it. I say I want to change my profile picture, and people are like, "No, how dare you?"
Yeah, people don't let you change anything.
Subscribe if you change it. Yeah, wild times.
By the way, that's why I still have my classic background from that I've had for what 16, 17 years or something like that now. Just that old. I had that as a background because I had nothing else as a background when we were in New York. We were in a tiny little spot. That was the only spot. That wasn't even a desk. It was a dresser. I made it look like a desk by putting a bookshelf on top of it and stuff like that. Had nothing else. But now I have 2 rooms to record in if I want. And so I can set up something like super nice and dope and so on. But just stick with that because people are like, why are you changing your background?
You know what's funny? When I was making regular videos, I was getting some crazy views actually.
You would, dude. If you had you burned out a few years ago. I remember the tweet, and I knew as soon as I saw it. I didn't even need any explanation. I knew it. Oh, he is officially burnt out. Called creator burnout, everyone. But you just posted. You said, "I've said what I wanted to say, and I'm tired," and that was it. And I was like, "Oh, he burned out." It's going to be like a year at least before he starts making videos again. Wrong. More like 5 years. But anyway, yeah, if you hadn't burned out when you burned out, you'd be well over 1 million by now. Subscribers.
That's the funny thing. The channel was like subscriber count and view count was growing very rapidly. So as I was looking at it, I thought, okay, if it continues like this, it will be at 1 million in no time. But then in the middle of getting crazy views, I couldn't do it anymore, and then I just stopped. And it's kind of wild. Tis wild.
I've pointed it out before, ladies and gentlemen, but if you're wondering what creator burnout is, being a YouTuber, well, social media in general, just even if you're on social media, like if you use Twitter and so on, it has not necessarily to the same extent, but it has the same impact on your brain as cocaine, right? You're getting these dopamine jolts and so on. If you are a YouTuber, it's like being on cocaine. Again, not to the same extent of actually like snorting a bunch of cocaine, but as far as what it's doing to your brain, it's basically all day. It's not like where you go to work at 9 o'clock and then you come home at 5 or something like that, and then you do something else. YouTube, you like to wake up and the first thing you're doing is, how's my video for doing from yesterday, and what's my video for today, and I have to start preparing that and stuff like that, and then you're working on that, and then you post it, and then you're constantly checking that while going and responding to comments, and then preparing your outline for your next stuff, and then you eventually fall asleep. You wake up and it's like that day after day after day. In other words, there's no break. You are doing YouTube stuff all day, every day, and your brain is just getting blasted. You love it. It's awesome, but it's basically frying your brain over time. It's like spending years on cocaine, and all of a sudden you just get totally burned out and you can't function.
Chat, can the chat confirm if it's like cocaine? I know we have lots of cocaine users in the chat. If you guys can confirm that is what cocaine feels like, then you probably know what this feels like. So, yeah. Songs of Relief said, "Congrats, AP, you are so loved." Thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. I appreciate that. One love. Sandman, Apostate for Prophet. AP left Islam for money. Confirmed. Exactly. Flip 34 says, "AP, just wanted to again commend your strength and journey. You truly do touch many hearts and give so many watching hope and faith. David would too. Love you both for what you do." Thank you. Appreciate that very, very much.
AP touches hearts. The men of Al-Zut touched something else on Muhammad.
Apu Baker, AP, have you considered Eastern Rite Catholicism, Byzantine Rite or Chaldean Rite or Maronite, which uses Aramaic in its liturgy? Here's the thing, Apu Baker. I have considered many things, but what I'm in the middle of converting and then joining and going on a certain path to get baptized, it's probably not very wise to tell me, well, did you consider the other path? Did you consider this one? Did you consider that one? No offense, but I specifically don't pay much attention to it. I did start out first with just regular Christianity, with Catholicism, eventually ended up here. I did consider many things, and I did spend, I can't even begin to describe how much time I have spent over the last several months burying my head into stuff to learn and think about and diving into it and considering it from every different aspect I have. Sven Ove Johansson said, "The Mahdi is the Islamic version of the 144,000 elect that will be crowned with Christ. Be aware of what you claim to be." This is true. Celeri Rosencrow, "All the best wishes, my dear brother. May God raise you up to accomplish yet greater things and see you deepened in wisdom and learning, so that your path might benefit us all and the world at large." I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you very, very much. Knows too much. AP is right. Eurovision is mostly cringe. It is ultra cringe. It is the most cringe thing. Thank you for agreeing with me. Congratulations, AP. So happy for you and your family. Your doctor prescribing you Jesus, wildly American and based. It is. Welcome home, AP and family. Thank you, Pat's leather straps. At the leather strap, yeah, pretty based.
Hey, I wanted to point out that's interesting because Ayan Hirsi Ali's therapist said the same thing. Said, "Hey, you sound like your problem is spiritual, not something else. And instead of medicating, why don't you try like going to church or something like that?" And so, and then lots of people were saying like, "Oh, she had a Christian therapist," and I was like, actually, it wouldn't need to be a Christian therapist, because I took a psychology class once, and the guy was a total atheist. So he was an atheist. He made it clear that he's an atheist, but he would talk about he was talking about exorcisms and so on. And he said they have a shockingly high rate of success in helping people. And he's like, "Why would that be?" And of course, his conclusion is it's like it's a placebo effect. If you believe that, the cause of whatever's bothering you has been cast out of you, you might actually get better and so on. But anyway, he was constantly pointing out things like that. And then with AA, that it wasn't just AA, because one of the steps one of the things you do in AA is you have to talk about your higher power and so on.
Hey, what's up, man?
But all these studies have shown that people who are like praying and so on have massively higher success rates at dealing with various addictions and so on. So it's not perfect and so on, but they have massively higher success rates. And again, everything will be explained in terms of placebo effect. But here's the point. You have even atheist psychologists and therapists and so on who are like, "Yep, this person clearly needs religion. It's not true, but this is what will help the person." So anyway, It's actually interesting that even atheists acknowledge, yeah, this person needs God, who I don't believe in.
Stupid atheist. Well, the thing is, when a doctor first told me about belief, I didn't really take the advice. I mean, I thought about it a little bit, but I thought, whatever. The funny thing about this is, as you mentioned it, I actually so I talked with different therapists over the last years, and whenever I would choose a therapist, I would actually make sure that it's not a Christian therapist.
Smart.
So I would choose a therapist that is not a Christian therapist, because I thought, they're going to tell me, about faith and stuff, and I don't really want to hear that. I just want to talk and just need help and all that. But then, as I was talking to one therapist, and I was talking to him about faith, I actually said to him, I want to go, and actually I want to go to this place, and I want to tell them that I want help and I want to join and all that. I just don't know what to do with this, because I'm kind of afraid that I might get myself into some kind of religion, and then I feel, and then I don't like it anymore. I don't want it anymore, and then I just end up leaving and then changing and all that. And then the therapist actually said to me, very funnily, and this is not a Christian therapist, he actually said to me, if you feel like you want to become part of that because you feel like something about it very, very much speaks to you, it would be a bigger mistake to be afraid of it and to just pass it by. It could be better for you to simply go ahead and do it and not feel forced to stick to it, because you will simply miss out. And that kind of gave me a little bit of a push. But what eventually gave me a push in the very same direction was you, David. You told me to just do it.
Oh, well, keep in mind. I
mean,
yeah, I've told people a trillion times, but I wasn't sure of it. I wasn't sure of anything when I became a Christian. It was like, okay, I'm in a really messed up place. I'm sitting here drooling. They're about to send me, the doctor saying he's going to tube feed me because I won't eat. And the psychiatrist is trying to send me to Miriam Mental Hospital on a long-term basis. And this Christianity is looking like it could be true. This is why I keep talking about live options. It wasn't, oh, this has been proven to me to be true. It's like, okay, I had too much confidence in atheism and in the atheist explanation. Now I don't think those work nearly as well as I thought. I see this. I see some things that are pointing in the direction of Christianity. I can't think of anyone other than Jesus who had this reputation for being able to take really messed up people and help them and so on like this. So it looks like Christianity may be true, but I didn't know. And there was like tons of stuff that could be examined and investigated, but I was like, okay, what have I got to lose? I'm already really messed up. If I pray and read the Bible and nothing changes, it's not like now I'm bad. Now I'm worse off. Now I'm somehow worse. How would I be worse off by that? So it's something like, okay, if this turns out to be true, then at least I'll be on the right side of things. And if it turns out not to be true, okay, it was all pointless anyway. So who cares? So anyway.
Hey, David, because actually you're right. AP, you used to say apostate. Yeah. That's actually in my first video, I called it apostate. And then I was like, oh yeah, I probably need to find out how to properly pronounce these things if I'm going to name myself.
I am the Apostate Prophet. The Apostate Prophet.
Oh man, I had an accent back then. That was kind of funny. That was kind of fun.
Come on, man, play a couple seconds.
I don't want to play it, man. I don't want to
be ashamed of yourself.
Already the Lord has made you a great example for those who seek truth and desire peace, but there will always be further opportunity. But do work to stay humble and to seek after our Father's will. Thank you. I appreciate that. But you're not helping by praising me here, Celeria. Just kidding. It's fine. Shaving art, barbershop. We like to hear things like this.
Solaria's like, you're already a bishop. No, you can still be the Pope.
You're already the best. Arctic-based Swedish church just announced the Council of IKEA.
I need to use that. Like that should be in a parody of like Muslim Dawa. This is when they changed everything at the Council of IKEA. You see?
I'm so happy for you. Believing in something greater like God can make things so much easier to go through. Thank you so much, Ida. Appreciate that. You see, the Jews are supporting my conversion to Christianity. What does that say? Thank you, Ida, always. Red Sai Noir says, and Death Circle. AP needs to edit Kaaba in middle. That is true. Knows too much. Best prank idea ever. Swap the Kaaba's black stone with a replica. Later announce how Muslims been smooching the wrong black stone for years. Yeah, that's funny.
You could call it catfishing the Ummah.
Man. Yeah. Thought you have done very well. Remember that there will be temptation and shortfallings in your path, but let God's love shape you and seek forgiveness when you err. Remember, you are not alone. Yeah, no, it's thank you for the reminder. But the thing is, Celeria, that I am so great that anyone else would be, of course, impacted by arrogance and all that, but not me, because I am the best, and I'm also the most humble. So I have to say that, Apple Baker, what are your thoughts on President Trump's proposal to move 1 million Gazans to Libya? How would you advise the Israeli government on this issue? I would say if there's a proper solution to humanitarianly do something to solve the conflict once and for all, it should be done without harming anybody. Let's see.
And the idea is the status quo it's just an endless cycle of bad things. And so if there's anything that can actually like make things better and fix things, it's going to have to be something big like that. I don't know exactly what the solution would be, but it's got to be something big, like, here, we're giving you an island in Indonesia or something like that.
It's going to be huge. Huge.
Bigly.
Hey, speaking of huge, I saw this stupid clip of Donald Trump earlier.
Well,
I had to laugh because it was so dummy. It was so unnecessarily goofy by Donald Trump once again. So the clip is I don't know if you've seen that, but the clip is Donald Trump says the N-word on national television. I don't know if you saw that, but it's this video here.
Next one's going to be, you know what, the N-word. You know what the N-word is, right?
Nuclear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
I figured you'd want to clean that up. No, it's the N-word. That's a very nasty word, right? In a lot of ways. The N-word used in a nuclear sense, that's the worst thing that can happen.
You could just say nuclear. It's not like that's not a word that the president is not allowed to say.
The N-word, right? The smile that he gives. You know what it is. You know what the
Next
N-word
one's
is.
going to be.
Go ahead and say it. It would have been messed up if the guy's
is,
like, "Oh, I know what the N-word is," and then he blurts.
Thank you.
I thought that was funny. The N-word in a nuclear sense.
Hey, this is kind of it's not entirely off topic because what just happened there, but me, Vocab Malone, Adam Coleman, Anthony Rogers, couple others, we're all driving in a van, and Vocab sort of read the room, and he's talking to Anthony, and he goes, Vocab says to Anthony, he goes, hey, you know what NWA stands for? And so that's the N-word with attitude, right? And but anyway, he says it, but it's funny because it's like he acted like he's asking and he doesn't know, but it's Vocab. He was a rapper. Vocab was a rapper back, and that he obviously knows what NWA stands for. But he asked, "Hey, you know what NWA stands for?" And Anthony blurts it out, and the whole van goes, "Oh, what the heck!" So, and this was years ago, and Anthony has never lived that down. And people keep bringing it up to him. Oh, it's like the time you said the N-word, Anthony.
That's funny. Songs of Flavor, Apologetics Prophet. That's what I'll change my channel name to Apologetics Prophet, most likely. Yeah. AP's penance will be to read Quran.
That would be funny.
David Wood, why some evangelical pastors turn to atheists? Who? Who?
Yeah, who? I don't know
who. Hey, by the way, our new ally here, the Syrian leader, this is from 2001.
What did you think and feel on 9/11 at the time? يكذب عليك أي شخص يعيش في العالم الإسلامي والوطن العربي إذا قال لك أنه لم يكن سعيد في ذاك الوقت.
So these are his words back then.
Mhm.
It's kind of funny. So he's
Well, he's got
asked,
a suit on.
how did you feel back then about 9/11? And he says, anyone in the Islamic world or in the Islamic or Arab world who tells you that he wasn't happy about it would be lying. It's funny because when we say something like this, it
Hey,
sounds,
they're all happy. Lawyer, you're an Islamophobe. And he's saying, yeah, of course we're all happy.
the funny thing is there's a community note here, which is that to add context, this is a PBS interview from 2021 when Jolani was leader of a banned extremist group. Well, that doesn't really say anything at all.
Yeah, and I have to say, for everyone who thought, oh, no, he's a good guy now because he's wearing a suit. Look, he's got a suit on right there. He just doesn't have the tie on. What did the tie magically change his views?
Yeah.
In other words, guys, two main possibilities. Either this guy has really had a change of heart and is fit to be some sort of leader now because of his massive change of heart, or he's realized, hey, I can't have everyone attacking me at the same time. So I need to pretend that I'm a good guy now while I consolidate power. Then I can become increasingly more radical. So which of those do you think is more likely with this guy?
Well, the thing is, there's just one issue. Like everything that you say, makes sense, but there's just one problem here, which you didn't seem to take into consideration. See what's missing here? He's not wearing a tie.
I said that.
Okay, good. All right, I didn't pay attention.
That's what I mean. Do you think the tie is the key?
Yes, it is. Aren't you already Orthodox?
Well, hey, hang on.
What?
Oh, no, along those lines, and people don't get it because you want to kind of you want to hope for the best and so on. But I mean, the problem is we keep it's like people are gambling. Like, okay, so maybe he's not sincere, but let's go ahead and assume the best and try to give him a chance to to work things out. So okay, like tons of people are going to die if you're wrong about this, right? Sitting here talking about actual jihadis taking control of countries, and you're like, well, he says that he's a different person than he was 4 years ago. So hey, let's go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay, tons of people are going to die from your little wager here.
This is a good point. Christian Sodium Channel says, I believe him when I see him in dreads. Yeah, this is a very, very good point. Good point. I would say that too. I agree with this very, 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 very much. Very much. Hey, Bob Penhammer. Hey, Ape. How would you justify the settlements in the West Bank in which people lose their homes? This seems to be the only valid criticism of Israel. I know that there are some things that in the West Bank are occasionally spiraling out of hand, and there are certain groups in Judea and Samaria that become a little bit too hostile and too intimidating. I would say that the general idea of settling the West Bank is not a big problematic issue, and in most of the cases, the majority of the cases, settlements are arranged and homes even taken in completely justifiable ways, with some exceptions. If there are some injustices done where some people's homes are taken without any right, these are usually brought to a court, which then rules in the favor of the family that lived there. That said, I know that the whole settlement issue is the one big most sensitive issue when it comes to the conflict, where every single person has difficulties talking about this topic. There's lots of bad emotions are involved.
Not me. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it right now.
Talk then.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. What I think what you have there is, think about what I was just saying a few minutes ago, that if there's going to be any solution to the problem, it's got to be something big, because the way things are now, it's just endless cycle of violence. The idea behind some of the settlements is, okay, now it's becoming clear we're dealing with people who just want us eternally dead. It's actually good if we have more of a buffer zone, because they're never going to back away from always wanting us dead. So why not have more of a buffer zone here? In other words, there comes a point when people just start giving up on the idea of that there's going to be some two-state solution in the future where both sides get together. And it's like, okay, that's never going to work. They've made it clear that that's never going to work. Why are we just going to leave them forever just on the other side of that fence or this close to us or something like this, instead of expanding and giving a little, giving a little more of a buffer zone. So anyway, so actually come up with something that works where you don't have people right there that close who are constantly trying to annihilate you and bragging about how they're going to annihilate you. And then.
Yeah, Forrest, whether you're being too optimistic just because the courts are supposed to do things. The thing is, we have good records of how courts handled the whole issue with homes being taken, and they have been very, with few exceptions, they have been very, very good and have done their jobs very well. That said, I do think that considering that, I mean, with everything that we have said, with everything that I have said at the beginning of this live stream, there still is the fact that the Palestinian side has been very, very much brainwashed and has been in a whole mindset of we are the ultimate victims and we don't want to make peace unless we fight and kill and eradicate the Israelis and all that. This is a persistent attitude on that side. As long as that persistent attitude persists, it's simply not possible to find proper peace. And if that attitude does exist, I would understand why why Israelis want to take more and more control of the land to make sure that those people who want to eradicate them don't become dominant in the region. So makes perfect sense. And it would actually be very humanitarian to propose a solution where people in that region go and live in a different region in peace instead of being in an endless conflict where they are just dying for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. If like a mile that way, there's this group that's like constantly obsessed with completely annihilating me, and I could just go over there and take it at some point, and then they wouldn't be that close to me trying to annihilate me. Why would I not do that? But if you came up with some other solution, that would be better. Because what are the options now? Okay, you keep trying to kill us and trying to kill us forever. Or we go take your stuff and then you get mad and want to kill us even more. Or you come up with some long-term solution. The point here is somehow in people's mind, there's always this idea that, oh, here's the thing that really fixes this. And but why is something still bad? Why is something still bad when we could just have nothing but good? No, you're in a situation where there are just bad, difficult options. Those are the only options on the table, and you're trying to pick the least bad, least problematic option. But no matter what you choose, no matter what you decide, there are going to be problems, and there are going to be people flipping out about it.
Powerful. Yeah, let's see. Let us see. From Amir Hussein, Muhammad, you of Iran. If God loves all people infinitely, why does the Bible say God loves Jews more? Given the more is meaningless in regard of the infinity concept. The Bible doesn't say that God loves Jews more.
Yeah, where's that say? Where's that?
It never says that. Not even Jews believe that.
And in fact, God keeps reminding them, hey, it's not because you're better than other nations and I'm picking you. I'm not doing it. I'm doing it because I made a promise. And because these people are so wicked that I want them off this land. I want this land clear. And he says, and if you behave the exact same way, I will punish you in the same way.
Yeah.
So
there is a thing that you could interpret as God loving people more, which is that if you follow his commandments, then God will love you and stuff like that. So if he loves mankind, what exactly does that mean? But the role of Jews in the Bible is that they are chosen for a specific role in the world, and God has a very special relationship with them. But the Bible also does say that that because they are chosen, that because they are a chosen people, God is not just acts with preference toward the Jews, but that he also holds them that much more responsible compared to other populations, because the others don't know, while the Jews do know. So this is how it was in the times of the Old Testament, as we would view it. So those who are chosen by God to carry his commandments are judged, are not just preferred, they are also given much more severe judgment. So you could say that from the Jewish perspective, even being chosen is not necessarily a fantastic thing. It also means that that you have a much more difficult life than all the others. Which is why, for example, this is one of the reasons why Jews, if you want to convert to Judaism, will say, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure about that?" So that's what they will say. And the same concept carries over to Christianity, where those who are of the faith are now have much greater responsibility compared to those who don't, which you can find in the New Testament as well. David didn't know any of this, for example. Yeah, had no idea. So I highlighted this earlier. Helen B, are you against Rainbow now? So I unsubscribe if you are. So here's the thing, Helen B. I've always had my issues with the ultra LGBTQ plus narratives, and you might have seen it here and there. That said, I've always been for freedom and toleration and all of that. I haven't taken a very firm stance of going into a certain social direction because I have come to believe. I think changing my mind on certain societal matters has been like has had the least of priorities of all the things that I've considered as I'm converting to Christianity, becoming a Christian. That said, I would say my mind has not changed in any way at all if I look at the individuals involved who have, who consider themselves in some way part of that community, or have certain, sexual orientations and all that. I would say it would be considered now, as I agree with the teachings of the church, not morally acceptable to, for example, be in certain relationships or do certain things. With that said, I also very much keep out of the discussion at this stage, and I also don't have anything against you at all. So that's my position.
Hey, this wasn't directed towards me, but would like to point something out here because people keep making the same mistake. So you'll have people in the LGBTQ community who really don't like Christians because, well, Christians might say they're wrong about something. Okay, just always keep in mind that a Christian who disagrees with you the big thing that Christian does would be to disagree with you and say you're wrong.
Wrong.
And you'll have tons of people, oh, they're saying I'm wrong. They're saying I'm wrong. I will be against them and I will go side with the Muslims who want to conquer these people. Whatever you do, please don't be that stupid. Again, at the end of the day, you've got, this group over here, they think I'm wrong about something. What are they going to do? They're going to tell me I'm wrong, especially if I ask them, hey, am I wrong? They're going to say, yeah, we think you're wrong. So I'm going to go do a team up over here with these guys who want to slaughter me in the name of Allah and who will use me to get these guys out of the way, who at the end of the day would protect my life. But they disagree with me. So I want these guys out of the way and they want these guys out of the way. So we form a big alliance. We get these guys out of the way. Oh, now these guys kill me. So anyway, the point is, people need to be more open to the idea of people disagreeing with them, but not killing them. Because you have a lot of people, like the worst thing in the world you could do is say I'm wrong. Like the worst thing anyone could ever do is say I'm wrong. It's the worst thing in the world. The worst thing. Really? Worse than just brutally murdering you?
If it makes you feel better, Helen, I will not suddenly start making a bunch of videos saying, oh, LGBTQ plus, bad, horrible, I condemn you. You probably won't see much from my side about that.
Well, I'll give you a couple of years with the Orthobros. You'll.
True. I just saw your response to my tweet earlier, and I was cracking me up. I said Muslim societies have spent 1,400 years in war and misery. Even when there were phases of prosperity, they were overshadowed by military expansion and internal fighting, which led to collapse. Islam is the problem. Muslims should realize there is no fulfillment in Islam. And of course, you respond to this with, liar. Islam is love. Just ask the men of Al-Zut about the love Muhammad showed them.
Yeah, that's
perfect response.
That's why Islam is so pro LGBTQ.
Yeah, you see, that makes sense. That makes sense. Josh Villa Gomez, AP, you're a good man and you'll do what is right for you and your family. You're just taking it slow, making sure you make the right decision, and that's okay. There's a people who don't take this serious. I appreciate that.
Got to take it slow.
Oh, hi, David.
Josh says, "I love you." You gotta clarify, but not in the way.
But not in the way of DS says, did you know that Mortal Kombat was based on Scandinavian church song? Yeah, it was. Every 1 million.
Wait, the video game?
Yes. AP converted to Christianity. Next miracle should be for David to become best friends with Mike Winger. Half of atheist debaters convert after that. Yeah, this is true.
No, because normally even miracles would not apply to things that are logical contradictions. In other words, you wouldn't say, "Oh, God could perform a miracle making a square circle." It doesn't make any sense. It's something that's outside the realm of even omnipotence, and so me becoming best friends with Mike Winger kind of be like more like a square circle.
Mike Winger. Robert Ronin, dear AP, I have felt the same way. Recently, I have rededicated my life to Jesus and starting to feel more the same way about my past actions. Yep, we change. We change. Humans are very weak people. I'm very weak too. That's true. Phil Tikal, big ups to the most humble and sidekick. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I don't need all the praises. I know that I'm the best, but I'm also very humble about it. So, HB, David, you're a pretty good fisherman.
I'm the greatest fisherman in the world. I was out in the ocean and I cast out a line that had multiple hooks, and I came up with 3 fish on the same line at one time.
Powerful, powerful.
And then I started screaming that I'm the greatest fisherman in the world.
Dave, what would happen if I took a bite of your ear? What the heck is happening here? Says Wing Wong. Jack Ray, is this the end of the dark comedy? I have noticed less and less of the AP It's Funny phrase preceding dark stuff lately.
You know what's most funny about all this? All those people who died yesterday. That's like classic AP line. You know what's funny about the earthquake that just took 2,000 lives?
I did. I've always had a very soft spot for dark humor, for the most messed up dark humor out there. So it's not something that can easily go away, I have to say. Of course, you will find it here and there, but probably a little bit differently. And also, as long as we recognize that it's just a joke, everything goes. Not everything, but almost everything. Avinav says, basically TLDR Constantinople soon. Yes, exactly. That's what's happening. And so here's the thing. After my baptism, after that is done, we are going to take back Constantinople and take the Hagia Sophia. But then after that, what happens next is that we will, of course, invite the Pope and the leaders of the Orthodox Church and finally put an end to the schism. So that's what's going to happen soon. Look forward to it. Andrew Kaufman, Ezekiel 36:26, and I will give you a new heart and a new spirit I will put within you, and I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. Been praying for your conversion. Thank you so much, Andrew. Very, very much appreciate this. Very, very much appreciate this. Yeah, I saw this post earlier, which I immediately retweeted because I thought it was super based. This comes from Orthodox Meme Squad, which is a place that is frequented by certain people who are online converts, and they don't always post good stuff, but they posted an image of one woman that I came to have great admiration for recently, Saint Maria of Paris, with an image of her tearing the Nazi flag, and they posted this on their account. The thing is, I reposted this immediately because I thought, this is awesome, this is super based. I also actually have, this is her right here. This is her right here. She was in the Second World War. She helped, she was a nun who took in people, including lots of Jews, and hosted them there, and also arranged fake baptismal certificates to, when the Nazis come, say, oh, these are Christians. These are good Christian people. And to kind of protect them from being taken and be put into concentration camps. After that, she was actually taken, herself to a concentration camp where she was gassed to death. Pretty based woman. And they posted this, and I thought this was pretty good, man. Pretty good stuff. She was a legend. AP and David Wood, what was there any aspect of that metaphysical, esoteric in Christianity that strengthened your conviction? Any spiritual experience that you want to share? David, what was it for you?
People can watch my testimony video, but because earlier in this live stream, I was pointing out that, it looked like there was actually evidence in favor of Christianity, and it looked more persuasive, and I couldn't think of any alternative that was more likely than what Christians were saying on those issues. So I didn't know, but then I bowed down and prayed. And I say this in my testimony video, that when I sat up from prayer and opened my eyes, it was like everything looked different. Everything. And I'm just in a cell, but everything looked different. And it was like everything was a different color. It was like it's like you have a picture and it's like the color's off, like maybe it's too far in the wrong direction. All of a sudden you like color correct it or something like this, or it was like that, just looking around at the world. It's like everything had changed colors or something like that. Anyway, so there was that. And then simultaneously with that, I pointed out in the video that it felt like I had been physically fighting, like nonstop. Just imagine you're born and you're tossed into a fighting pit and you're just fighting forever. And that's all you've ever known. All of a sudden it just stops. That's what it felt like. And you could say, well, that's all in your mind. That's placebo. Here's the thing though. I was trying other things before that. I tried, I got into meditation and yoga for a while and stuff like that. When I was in the cell, I got into Stoic philosophy. So I was reading Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus and these guys and so on. Read several of the dialogues of Plato. Was interested. So anyway, the point was I was into various things, and converting to Christian, there was something happened like instantly. And so anyway, yeah. So the answer is yes. Suck you, biscuit.
Was there any aspect of the mystical and esoteric in Christianity that strengthened your conviction? Any spiritual? I mean, I have there are things that I could interpret in such a way. I don't like to talk about that kind of that aspect of things, but there are things most certainly and most definitely that I would that I could interpret in this way. But in all honesty, forgive me for that. I would like to not focus on that, especially in public. I pretty much came to believe for different reasons. And I think one of the issues was that for many years, I believe, whether I believe in God or not, whether I believe in Christianity or not, was a question of logic and reason to me. And whether there is evidence and whether I'm convinced of the evidence or not and all that. And I began abandoning that whole path. And I thought it's kind of stupid to rely in such a matter on logic and reason and evidence and all that. And I actually found that traditional or ancient Christianity was much less about logic and reason. And Orthodox Christianity is much less about logic and reason, but more about experience. And yeah, I went into that direction. We talked about this topic briefly yesterday. Anyway, I'll make a video in which I will explain why I believe. John, to God be the glory. This is what true repentance looks like. There is more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than 99 righteous men who need no repentance. Luke 15:7. Exactly. I'm the biggest repenter, the most humble one also.
AP is the best of repenters.
Today I'm being baptized at an Orthodox Christian church in my hometown, about a month since I found it. God bless us, everyone. Wonderful. Awesome, man. Awesome. Norm Alman, AP's bookshelf is more interesting than AP. Bring back the bookshelf. Fine, man. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, pretty much anything is more interesting than AP.
But anyway, we have a show to run. So, metastep, it means blood cloth, aka menstrual. Interesting. I didn't know that. DT Bombakla Ja Rastava. Yeah, thank Ja. I wonder sometimes if it's like if it would be even okay to sometimes say Ja instead of so in Rastafari it's like they call God Ja, but I guess it just comes from Yah, which is the Hebrew way of referring to God's name, the Lord.
Also just means yes in German.
Yah.
No, I'm saying like, do you ever think when you're saying something, you're like, do you ever think, here's what it means in German?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. I think about it all the time. Whenever I'm about to say something, I think, wait, what does it mean in German?
I'm just saying, like imagine you have a German Rastafarian. Like, how would you know what he's saying?
Yeah, man, that's
yeah.
true. That's true, man. Hey, AP, where you see yourself going from here? What do you think? What you think you're going to do different from now on, if anything? Good question. So first off, I'm going to change my outfit. As you can see, I'm trying on a new look because this is what Christianity is all about. But secondly, I have already very much changed the way I live and the way I think and the way I act every single day, and it has brought nothing but goodness to my life, honestly. I have changed lots of my thoughts about things. There is still a great process of anticipating what will change when I get baptized soon, inshallah, and what happens then afterward. I don't really know, and I haven't thought much about what I will do in the future. I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do, what I'm doing now, and things are changing as we speak in such ways that I never thought I would be changing. Because for the last 10 years, I just focused on whatever I want to do, and now I don't do that anymore. The funny thing is that focusing on whatever I want to do and just doing whatever I want to do, ironically, never really made me happy. The way I live right now is making me much happier than I ever was. And in terms of the channel here, I'm going to refocus things. I'm going to get back to speaking about Islam in a different way, in a better way, probably, but also going to do some other things. I'm being extremely vague right now. Don't ask me questions.
Hey, no, it's funny because you keep you're talking about how you've changed in the short time you've been a Christian and so on. I was actually concerned about that. Like, if you go back to last year, I'm like, man, what if AP becomes a Christian and he's like still extremely brutal like this? And even worse, what if he becomes even like more extreme and more brutal? It's gonna be messed up, right? Because like right now, when everyone's like, David, you hear that messed up thing that AP said? How can you just sit there? What is an atheist, man? An atheist or an agnostic or something. Like, who cares? Well, what do you expect? What do you expect from? Like, oh man, what if he's doing this as a Christian? Then I have to call him out.
I remember there were moments when we would go live together, and I would go on a rant, and I would look at you, and you just looked like you just want to. You feel very uncomfortable with what I'm saying, and you want to dissociate from what I'm saying here. There were times like that, when I was getting really, really messed up and really brutal. So I know, I'm aware.
But I mean, what's crazy is some of your most brutal stuff is still hilarious. Like that, like that response to Muhammad Hijab. When he said, if we keep having the most babies, then we will eventually take over. Remember, our strength is in our numbers. And all you responded was, numbers can be reduced. And then, like, everyone flips out and loses their minds. Oh boy.
But to be fair, it's unclear what I mean by it.
Yeah.
Reduce.
Numbers can be reduced by conversions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have the Christian understanding of that message.
Yeah. Yeah. Or peaceful deportations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Beard, are you familiar with the book Centered Set Church by Mark D. Baker? He has an interesting way of framing Christian unity by focusing on Jesus rather than on the differences that separate us. No, never heard of Baker.
And probably will not, because Centered Set Church is a dumb name for a book. So he's got to come up with a better name for me to be interested. Well,
I always have to diss. Always, man. Always have to say something bad. Yeah, interesting stuff. Donnie Anessa, give it to Rome. No, I'm not giving it to Rome. I'll either take it for myself, Constantinople, or I will give it. I will ask the ecumenical patriarch what I should do with it. If they want it, I'll give it to them. If not, I'll give it to Greece. That's it.
Why don't you announce the reestablishment of the Byzantine Empire?
If Greece wants to do that, then I'll leave it to them. Yeah. I will hand it over to Greece. Actually, I have to check if Greece is worthy of taking it at this point. So maybe I'll just install myself as a new emperor, as a new Mahdi. Drew Traver, I'm glad you're doing better and finally aren't so stubborn to faith, AP. Daily Wire, your exacto knife and my ADD during AP's testimony was like a squirrel in church. Yeah. I think that's your toe knife, isn't it?
Hmm?
Is that your toe knife?
No. This is my Kuranagami knife for when I need it.
Do you know about the toe knife? It's Always Sunny.
Yeah. That was nasty. That's an actual knife, like a steak knife or something like that.
Stupid.
His toe knife.
He cleans out his toes with the knife. Oh man. Don Taylor, David Dwyer, your eyes were getting a little moist there. Yeah.
I don't know when, but I was crying my eyeballs out.
Yeah, I saw that too. All powerful speech from AP. Now let's turn to Christian MAGA and help them pass this rage. Would you have a different approach about Bishop's speech to Trump? Which bishop?
Yeah, which bishop?
Which bishop? Which bishop are you talking about? Hey, speaking of Bishop and Trump, are you talking about the woman bishop who is not a real bishop? I don't know who you're talking about. But speaking about Bishop and Trump,
You can't just say bishop.
yeah, could be anybody. It could be somebody named Bishop.
That's like saying, "Hey, what do you think? What do you think about this guy's speech to Trump or this woman's speech to what? Who?
Yeah, which bishop? Which bishop? Oh, look at this. Look at this. Televotes for Israel. Televotes by country in the current contest. Israel 297 top.
Hey, they went down. What? That's the popular vote?
UK 0. That's kind of no. This is just a popular vote without the jury vote.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they were over 300. So
yeah,
that
was with jury combined. That was with jury combined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Through your leadership,
So
understood.
Yep. This is probably not what Ove meant. Ove probably meant that fake bishop, but this is Archbishop Elpidophoros, who is Archbishop of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese in America. And he recently met up with Donald Trump and said some very nice words to him. And Trump actually appointed him to, what was he just appointed to?
Future King of Constantinople.
Elpidophoros appointed to future King of Constantinople. Yeah. No, he was appointed to Trump's Religious Liberty Commission. Pretty
your leadership, you embody the values of our Christian faith and love for the gospel. You remind me
Look
of
at all
the
the
great
phones, man.
Roman Emperor Constantine the Great.
What? People start cheering. Woo! Constantine! Constantine! Constantine!
He compared him to Emperor Constantine.
This emperor, your dear Mr. President, is the one who founded and built the magnificent city of Constantinople, my birthplace.
Oh, wait, he was born in Constantinople.
Notice, not Istanbul.
Yeah. I lived there. I lived in Constantinople for quite a while.
You didn't live in Constantinople, man.
I did.
What? You lived in Constantinople?
Yes.
You ever been to Hagia Sophia?
Funnily enough, I never went inside.
You had the chance while living in Constantinople to go into Hagia Sophia, and you didn't do it?
The funny thing is that when you live in a place that everyone wants to go to for tourism, you don't do all those things that tourists usually do. So,
yeah, I know. We lived in the Bronx for 13 years, and eventually I was like, oh, I should take my kids to the Statue of Liberty and stuff. And then like the year before we left, I was like, okay, let's go to a Yankees game. But yeah, all the stuff that Empire State Building, all that stuff, you just don't care when you're actually there.
yeah. Powerful. Yeah, AP is that old? Yes, I was around when Constantinople fell, actually, to the Ottomans. You know what's the funny thing about this bishop is that lots of people have complained for years that he's like a liberal, progressive sellout and so on, and then he's here speaking to Donald Trump.
He's here, MAGA, and I will change my exalted archbishop hat to this red MAGA hat.
And look what he does here, continuing. Look at this.
Known today as Istanbul.
Boo!
It's my great honor
Boo!
to you with this holy cross.
Wow.
Whoa, he gave him a big one.
This cross is the very symbol that led this great Roman Emperor Constantine to victory. As Christ revealed to him in a vision, he said, "En tuto nica," told the emperor, means go with this
Conquer by this.
and be victorious, Mr. President. This
Go with this and conquer, yeah, right?
So
Conquer by
we
this.
want you to go to the Middle East and conquer the entire place with this cross.
cross is an everlasting symbol of peace and an invincible trophy, a sign of divine strength and guidance.
I have to say, I've always loved the Greek flag. I think this is like a, what is this? I think this is like a Greek people society thing. What is this? Greek something place that he was visiting.
You like it because it kind of looks like the Jewish flag. I think
Well,
you just like blue and white, man. Just face it. You just like blue and white.
I always thought the flag of Israel and the flag of Greece look awesome, and I guess it might be about, I don't know what it is about. There's something about the white and blue
I just said that.
that makes them look awesome. I just came up with that idea. Yeah.
It would be funny if he had on this big cross, but it had like a chain and like a big thick chain and stuff like this, and then Trump wore it to the Middle East. Wouldn't that be based?
That would be huge, man.
He like wore it in Saudi Arabia, and he's got that giant cross hanging on his chest.
And I would say, and now that I'm here, it's time for you people to
It's
become
the new
Christians."
it's the new emperor. There's a new emperor in town. People call me the best of emperors, the best of all Constantines. Yeah, they're right. They're right.
And now it's time for you folks to convert to Christianity. Look at that, man. This flag here and this flag here. Isn't there something distinctly amazing about both of these flags?
Yeah, don't they?
I don't want to talk to you, Daniel.
Don't they? There's something about the blue and white that is just more lifelike than the green and red.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
They look powerful.
With this cross, I pray you bring peace to the world and make America invincible.
Let's get some pictures. You heard it here, folks. I am the new emperor of the entire world.
Thank you. Very cool.
Very based.
Apostate of Allah, AP is only in Israel supported because of the color scheme. Yeah,
That's true.
this is actually
I mean,
true.
notice AP only supports two nations, Greece and Israel. Both blue and
They
white.
both have one thing in common.
Mhm.
The color scheme on the flag. American Jaybird. I was going to convert to Islam, but you guys and Sira International convinced me not to. Now I am
Smart.
baptized and confirmed member of the Roman Catholic Church. Thank you all. God bless. Very, very cool. That is
I heard
very,
about-
very cool.
I was going to convert to Islam because of the story of Al-Zut.
This is very, very good to hear.
It is totally based.
American Jaybird. Blitzy says, I have similar rage issues. I will miss rage AP, but it's better for your soul. Well done, brother. Thanks for your honesty. It helped me. Danke. 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 Danke dir.
Bitte.
Crazy Spider AP. So you're saying that Aladdin had a point, right? Absolutely not.
The dude in the story of the genie or Apostate Aladdin?
Oh, I didn't think about Apostate Aladdin. No, Apostate Aladdin, he did have a little bit of a point because he did. So he did when he pointed out that I was being very, very too brutal and all that. Maybe he did have a little bit of a point.
Oh, no. But think about this. Think about this. If Apostate Aladdin was right about you being so mean and you needing to change your behavior, shouldn't he be happy that your behavior is changing instead of being a whiny little crybaby?
Yes. So now he should become a Christian too.
Here's probably what you'll find. I've never seen anything of Apostate Aladdin.
Become a Christian or else live with the
couple of-
consequences. Sorry,
Yeah.
guy.
No, Apostate Aladdin, I still don't know much about him except that he whines anytime everyone is not in full atheist mode and so on. But think about this. Is he going to be happy that your behavior is changing and you're no longer so extreme? Answer, almost certainly not. Because in reality, he's like the people he condemns among the jihadis in that everything is just like me versus every other group, my group versus every other group. There can be no, let me put it this way, AP, would Apostate Aladdin agree with, do not take the Jews and Christians for friends. They are friends of each other. And whoever amongst you takes them for friends, he is one of them.
Yes.
Yes, he would agree with that. But from an atheist perspective, it's our group and everyone else outside our group must be completely eternally separate from us. So he has that same mindset. So anyway, if AP is changing his behavior, which Apostate Aladdin has criticized him for being too harsh, and it becomes less harsh, is Apostate Aladdin going to be like, oh, great, Christianity's helping him? No, because the real issue is he just can't stand anyone outside his group, and he was simply using that as a way to attack AP. So it wouldn't surprise me now if like 6 months he's like, look, AP's too nice to everyone, says he loves them. This is horrible. Look at what Christianity does. Going to find something to whine about no matter what.
You don't know that. He might be just, saying like, hey, man, I'm so happy that you became a Christian. You inspired me to also become a Christian. He might say that. You don't know that.
That'd be funny.
That'd be hilarious. That'd be the most funny thing I've heard in my entire life. No, it's too much. AP Israel give Palestinians too many chances. They can open their eyes far away from Israel. And 20 plus pan-Arabic Islamic, 50 plus Islamic countries. Powerful. It's also kind of funny to see that recently that the some of the Arab nations still, despite all of the propaganda of the last 2 years, seem to be on the route of establishing relations with Israel. Pretty funny. They're kind of selling out the Palestinians, man. Bo Rudder, if God could change Nabil and AP ex-Muslims, then he can save other Muslims too. Angels are rejoicing. This is true. If you can change somebody as disgusting as me, then you can change anybody. Godlike Snake, Andrew is worried about Israel picking an antichrist and feminization of the church, but is silent or ignorant of Turkey interfering with Orthodox Church. Powerful. Shakespeare, from the forehead to the butt, watch out for a foot. Just see. Today is another day of rejoicing. Our honorable AP, the most high, the most greatest, has become even more honorable by setting a higher arch for us to reach in humility by his example. Truly, AP is the best of exemplars. Thank you. Appreciate that. I humbly accept all these great praises in the most literal sense. Avor, you see, bioth, yeah. Knows too much. There is moral confusion. Many think mercy equals moral. It's not. Mercy towards evil is not moral. It's supporting evil. That is, in fact, immoral. Yeah, that is, you could say that, in a sense. Israel treating Yahya Sinwar, showing mercy to evil, is a clear example of why it is immoral. It has consequences. Yeah. I think that Israel should have treated Yahya Sinwar the way they treated him when he was admitted for the removal of his brain tumor. They could have treated him differently. Israel could have generally handled this whole thing a little bit better, and the whole conflict a little bit better. Israel has also been for the longest time been under the influence of a very naive perspective of the early Christians, perspective of the early Zionist movement that was very heavily influenced by leftist, let's just all live together attitude, and it doesn't work out very well. American Jaybird. I went to a mosque once wearing niqab, and when I was a convert, and the imam said, Muhammad, police be upon him, would have cut off Fatima's hand if she was a thief, since Muhammad was a just and honorable man. Yeah. I would say that Muhammad would have probably not done that in reality.
No, because he showed special favor to the people with him.
Yeah.
Like Ali one time, Muhammad had to officially divide up the spoils of war and so on. You weren't allowed to touch stuff before then, and Ali just grabbed a girl from the stuff before it was divided up and started banging her. And then one of his other companions complains like, "Hey, why does Ali get to just? We all have to wait, and we have to wait till everything's divided up, and he's sitting there banging this girl that he's." And Muhammad's like, "What? What do you want me to do? He's Ali."
Prince Ali. E4 Murphy said, so humble. Indeed. Yeah. I am the most humble Mahdi, so I would have to say that. Kyrie eleison. I can read this now. Says, which means Lord of Mercy. Says, congrats on being baptized into Orthodoxy AP. It didn't happen yet. But I'm hoping for it, and I hope that it's going to happen soon. I have a little bit of a window to look forward to. I hope it's going to happen soon. I will announce it before it happens, as soon as it's there. I have very much an idea of when it's going to happen, but I don't want to say anything right now at this point. But David knows. American Jaybird, I don't think that made him just or honorable. This is true. That's true. AP, did you have any particular reason for choosing Eastern Orthodoxy over Oriental Orthodoxy? Says the I-200. The funny thing is, if you asked me if I had reason to choose Eastern Orthodoxy over Catholicism, I would have said yes, but would have been quite vague about the reasons. When you ask me about Oriental Orthodoxy over Eastern Orthodoxy, it's not quite that clear. I have great admiration for Eastern Orthodox or for Oriental Orthodox churches, especially the Coptics. I think they are fantastic people, fantastic clergy, and all that. I don't know. I think it's just the way it goes, the way things went, the way I was led into one church over the other. Now there are some doctrinal differences between the two, obviously, which I hope they can somehow resolve in the future. And I hope that in the future, the Eastern Orthodox and the Oriental Orthodox can solve their problems and stop the schism and come into communion, and then do that in a very, very big future with the Catholic Church as well, and then can tell all the Protestants to stop being Protestant and also join the church as well. Just kidding, David. Stop being offended. So I hope for the union and all that, but I don't really know what to say when you ask me why I picked this over the other. I don't really think of it as picking, although I say picking myself. Shiggy says, hello, dear Orthodox Pope. Thank you. What do you think of the short video of the demons interrupt Orthodox priest? Oh, hi, David. Greetings from Germany. I have never seen that video.
It's always weird when people are like, hey, what do you think of this? And like 99% of the time, it's something we've never seen in our entire lives, but they're asking our thoughts on things we've never seen.
What do you think about that video, David?
It's awesome.
Oh, good. Demons interrupt Orthodox priest. I'll have a look at that. American Jaybird. I thought about Eastern Orthodox, but the priest never got back to me, so I went to Roman. Love my EO brothers and sisters, though. It's funny how that went. I want to, as little as possible, say something about which church and all that, but even what I was about to say, I probably shouldn't say. But I would say I'm very happy for every single person who converts to their, church of Christianity. Except for the ones that are not really Christians. A Christian says, so glad you're on our team, AP. Thank you. I'm glad to be on your team, A Christian. Last spicy ramen. AP, your discovery of faith reminds me of Ahmed the calligrapher. It makes me rejoice that your heart is at peace and that you're soon becoming a soldier of Christ. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Hey, David, have you ever heard of Ahmed the calligrapher?
It's calligrapher.
Whatever it is, man. Have you ever heard of him?
Your English is worse than your first video.
Thank you. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Okay, good. So this was actually this was an Ottoman Muslim dude who is seen as a saint in the Orthodox Church. And so there are different accounts of his story. It's kind of funny. It's kind of beast. There are different accounts of his story, but basically about Saint Ahmed. Ahmed lived in Constantinople in the 17th century. He worked as an Ottoman official in the office of the chief secretary and served as a copyist and, how do you say it, calligrapher in the great archives. As scribe of the second rank, Ahmed lived a comfortable life and held prestige and influence. Long story short, he had slaves, and his slaves were Christians. Although he was unmarried, Ahmed the calligrapher lived with 2 Russian slave women. While both women were pious Orthodox Christians, he granted the older woman permission to attend the Greek Orthodox Church services. Each time she attended, she brought holy bread and holy water back to the younger girl. When Ahmed noticed a lovely fragrance emanating from the girl's mouth, he asked her what she had eaten. At first, she replied she had eaten nothing because she didn't think of the holy bread as food. Eventually, she explained to him that it was the holy bread that made her breath smell so sweet. This caused Ahmed to become very intrigued by the Orthodox faith, and he became interested in learning more about it. Ahmed approached one of the priests and was granted special permission to attend the ecumenical patriarch celebration of the divine liturgy. He dressed in Christian clothing, replaced his white turban with a blue one. So here's how he's depicted traditionally. Replaced it with a blue one. Was given a discreet place at the church. During the service, he witnessed several miracles. First, he saw that the priest carrying the chalice glowed with light and walked suspended in the air. Next, he saw light beaming from Patriarch Iakovos' finger onto all the worshippers' heads except for his own. These miracles convinced Ahmed to request and receive holy baptism. From that point on, he led a secret Christian life. Had his conversion become known, he would have lost his livelihood and been put to death as an apostate. Eventually, he's found out to be a Christian, to have converted to Christianity, and he's asked about it, and he says, "Yeah, I'm a Christian. What is there to it?" And then he's executed by the Ottomans.
It is totally based.
Things like that would make nice little short videos.
Yeah, they would. Peace be upon me. Hi, AP and David Wood. I'm fully Orthodox now, but I developed into using rational philosophy like Kantian rationality, logic, and science. What are you guys' opinions? Did you mean say Orthodox or just Christian? I don't know. David would probably say, yeah, do that.
Kantian? No. Certain interesting elements, but my goodness, what a mess.
David clearly can't tolerate it.
I can't.
David
If you're Emmanuel.
Terrible jokes. Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts about this. It's very popular nowadays in our time to be for Christians and even for some Orthodox to go into rationality and logical arguments and all that. It's not really my field. It's not really something that I'm very, very much into. To each his own. We talked about this yesterday very briefly.
Yeah, if you're saying you're fully Christian, but you've developed into rationality, good, logic, yes, science, yes, none of that conflicts with Christianity. Some Kant stuff is, keep in mind this, like no one takes a bunch of Kant stuff seriously anymore. Matter of fact, I remember the one line from the head of the department when I took a class with him. He broke down sort of Kant's metaphysics, put it all over the board and stuff, and he goes, "This is brilliant." Totally wrong, but brilliant. And anyway, I always like that because there are people come up with ideas that are like, there are a few people. Kant is one of them. Wittgenstein is one of them. But there are a few. There are people in the history of philosophy who, and in the history of science and so on, who you think, oh, this person's great. This person's a great genius. And yet things had developed up to that point where if that person had come up with it, someone else would have come up with it. So, matter of fact, you see this in like mathematics, where Isaac Newton and Gottfried Leibniz both come up with calculus in completely different areas. Guess what? If either one of them hadn't come up, well, if neither one of them existed and they didn't come up with calculus, someone else would have come up with calculus shortly after that, because mathematics had developed up to that point where someone was gonna have to take the next step. So there are lots of things in philosophy that are like that, where if this person hadn't come along, someone else would have come along and come up with a similar idea. Kant and Wittgenstein are exceptions in the sense that if Kant hadn't come along, no one would have come up with what Kant came up with, and no one would have come up with what Wittgenstein came up with. With that said, they're wrong. They're just wrong.
Powerful. There is one thing. So since it is you put an Orthodox cross there, if you're specifically asking about with the compatibility with Orthodox Christianity, and there is an issue there where Orthodox Christianity generally doesn't have a history of engaging with arguments the same way that Western Christianity does. I would recommend one book that I'm listening to right now and also reading, which is by Callistus Ware, the Orthodox. Not the Orthodox Church, but the Orthodox Way. He has two very famous books, Orthodox Church and the Orthodox Way. The Orthodox Way goes into explaining, theological thought in the Orthodox Church. Would recommend looking into that if you haven't looked into it yet. It also directly, I think, from the very beginning, goes into how theology differs in the Orthodox Church and goes into what's called apophatic theology, which is also called negative theology, which is about trying not to define. I'm going to butcher it if I try to explain this, but try not to put God into words of what he specifically is, but rather into what he is not, what he is compared to what he is not. So starting with what he is not and all that. So less focused on trying to systemically explain God and theology with logic and all that. So, and more leaving it up to mystery. I like that aspect a lot, actually. Benjamin said, well, that's unfortunate. I didn't subscribe for Christian content. Guess I'm unsubscribing. Powerful.
This is when you would normally push the Muhammad hijab, get the hell out of here button.
You mean this one here?
Get the hell out of here!
Yeah, but I will still mostly do Islam-related stuff. But this is just my personal journey at this point. So.
Shame on you! You're only allowed to talk about what we say. And if you're not agreeing with me, then I don't want to watch.
Bunch of dorks, man.
Boxman Cloud, you guys should turn.
I'm just gonna go watch Apostate Aladdin now because he agrees with me.
You guys should turn the skit from Key and Peele, 7 Inches in Prison, and do it about Muhammad and the Al-Zut. I don't really know. I don't know the skit because I've never ever.
I know the skit.
I'm sorry to be offensive here, but I always thought that those two guys are completely unfunny.
They're totally funny. You're Turkish, so you don't even understand anything they're saying. But
I don't like that whole exaggerated humor that the tall guy does.
No, that's true. That's like half their sketches.
I will. Okay, man.
Yeah, that one is about one of them goes to jail, and Peele's in jail, and yeah. So anyway, people can look it up if they want.
Powerful. Jonathan Marshall says, I saw the title and I wanted to say welcome home. Thank you very, very much, Jonathan Marshall. Thank you very, very much. You know what's funny?
What?
So I was talking to my priest the other day, and he said to me, "Yeah, there's something that you posted on Twitter, and I really liked it," he said. And so while I focused on what he told me about what he liked, and we focused on his advice and all that, later on, as I'm driving home, and as I'm home, I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, what I posted? How did he look at that? Is he on Twitter? And I'm searching for his name, but he's not. I can't find his name. And then I'm thinking, is he just an anonymous account that interacts with me? What if he like says something and I'm just like, get out of here, man.
Shut up, loser. Quit being gay.
Stupid. Man. Knows too much says, Momo, once you go black, you never go back. Funny. But Allah is not trying to make exceptions. Pretty good. Kane, how can I help Christians being persecuted in the Middle East? How can I help Christians being... You shouldn't help Christians being more persecuted. But if you want to help persecuted Christians in the Middle East, I guess you could find some... I know what you meant. I guess you could find some organizations that focus on that kind of stuff. Charities and stuff. Go for Christian charities, not for general charities in the region. For Christian charities. Powerful. Celeria says, yeah, even as small as I am and only posting about once per week, I know what Dr. Wood's talking about. Read the effects videos and comments have on you. Yeah. Celeria has a very big channel, so it's probably, for you, it's probably extra stressful. Yeah.
Celeria is new, but it's been covering the Islamic dilemma quite a bit, so check it out, everyone.
Powerful. Yeah. Mosh Cohen, what's up, Mosh? Mosh is super based. Started from the bottom, now I'm here. Drake's song is very relevant considering where you started and where you are now. God bless you and your fams. Thank you. Mosh.
That's funny. I thought that was going to be an Al Zoot joke. When you started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Like, that would be Muhammad with Dia later on. Started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Anyway, I don't even know the song, but
no. Thank you.
But
thank
yeah,
you.
So you took that in a much more positive direction than I thought from the beginning of your message, Mosh.
Mosh has nothing but a pure heart here, and you have brought all the dirt of the world into it.
It's what Islam does, man. It pollutes your mind with all sorts of weird crap.
You see. Viking Crusader. AP, you should call your new channel Apostolic.
Apostolic. That's funny.
Apostolic. And that's funny.
That is funny.
I'll think about it. The Transfigured Life. Congrats, AP. So happy for you. I enjoy watching you both. K for David. Have you been to a divine liturgy, and what are your raw thoughts on Orthodoxy? Hey, have you ever been to an Orthodox liturgy?
Not that I know of.
That's fine. So it will be your first time when you come to visit.
If I was, then it didn't make a big impact on me. But I can't think of.
So then you probably haven't been. Okay, good.
Is it like one of those 4-hour things?
No, it's maximum. I think it's up to 2 hours. I don't know. I've never paid attention to how long it is because it's pretty based. How long is it on average? Does anybody know how long it is? Does my wife know how long it usually takes us? I never pay attention to the time, which is very funny because before this, I was like, except for going to church, if I have to be in a space, I'll be like, when is this over? But then I started going to church for the liturgy, and I don't really care about how long it takes. And that's very, very interesting. I guess that's miraculous. I don't know. 1.5 to 2 hours, says my wife. Okay, good. She knows. 1.5 to 2 hours. But so David will attend a divine liturgy when he comes to visit me for my baptism. So then we will ask him what he thinks about that. Then he will make a video about it.
Is it going to blow my mind?
It's going to blow your mind. What I should do is to before I get baptized, I should announce that I'm getting baptized at that place and invite everyone who is watching come and attend as well.
Yeah, and be like, and if I get 1,000 likes, then I'll share a video of my baptism.
Yeah, that's funny. So after that, after attending the liturgy, David will make a video about what he thought about the Orthodox Church. Of course, that's the deal. So,
and I kind of missed the first half because I fell asleep. Is it going to be like that, or is it going to be super based and keep my attention?
You're gonna be very, very much attentioned by it. IEP reverted to Rastafarianism confirmed. I thought about it, but then. Now here's the funny thing. I don't want to say anything to, insult or disrespect, but it's like I found the attitude of Rastafarianism very cool, but it's basically like Christianity turned into a complete, I don't know, like a weird hippie thing, That's all I can say. But at least they make good music. So I mean, they make up for all the nonsense with good music. Janet Shea says, "God bless you both. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate that, and you too." Velvet Jazz, love you, my brothers. The Christian jesters of Jizya, praise God always for the work you do. Never stop fighting the good fight. Thank you, Velvet Jazz. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Aisha
every time I see Velvet Jazz, I'm like, what's that name remind me of? And then I remember it's Velvet. Eddie Murphy had a character on Saturday Night Live years ago called Velvet Jones.
Yeah, I actually got this outfit because I wanted to make a video announcing that I am the Mahdi, and I thought I could just go for this look here instead and make a Mahdi video trolling the other Mahdi with my new Jamaican Rasta look, with some reggae music playing in the background.
And you could call it Jamaican me the Mahdi man. Jamaican me the Mahdi man.
Jamaican me the Mahdi man. Oh man. Have you considered visiting Mount Athos in the future? I definitely would like to one day visit Mount Athos. Because it's a very powerful place. I do want to arrange a trip to Greece.
Hey, we should do a trip and make some videos about cool Christian sites.
Maybe we should do that. We should arrange a trip to Greece and go and there's so much stuff that we could do if we went to Greece.
Yeah, I know. Been there a bunch of times. Super dope.
Have you been to Greece?
When I was a kid, my dad was in the military. So back in the day, if you got caught for drugs or something like that, they would give you the option of taking a suspended sentence if you joined the military, which I think is actually a pretty good idea. But anyway, so he ended up in the military for a while, and anyway, he got stationed over there. So I got to go over to Greece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mount Athos has like a very, very high status in the Orthodox Church by anybody. It's pretty based. Shakespeare, from Islam to atheism to Christianity, got to K-tube them all. This is true.
From Islam to atheism to agnosticism to Christianity.
Rastafarianism to Christianity. Yeah. Alejandro Sudiro says 2025 top charts all night long by Al Zut, No Islamic Dilemma by Dawa Boys, We Are the MMA Champion by Mojab, MMA Misyar Marriage Art. Robert
2025.
Michael says, would a restaurant where I make haram versions of halal food be funny, or would that just be punching below the belt? Congrats on converting. Thank you, appreciate that. David, would that be funny?
Yeah, as long as you were in an area where you weren't going to have some actual serious people having some problems with you. If you're in the right area, people would think that's hilarious.
Powerful. That's very, very powerful. Very powerful. Very powerful. Sprinkles, how can you now believe that ancient unsubstantiated claims about supernatural events are true? I thought you were better than that.
Yeah, you just have to believe in what I say. Now you disagree with me. You're supposed to just believe everything Dawkins says and all their unsubstantiated claims about how the universe got here and how life formed and how consciousness arose and every other thing that makes absolutely no sense on atheism. And you're just supposed to mindlessly accept it because then if you don't, then you'll be religious and we won't like that. Hail apostate Aladdin.
Powerful. So here's the thing, Sprinkles. You might think that my response to you is very, very mean and all that, but what you don't realize is that what you're doing here is simply patronizing and expecting that I conform to whatever you think.
I thought you were better than that. Better. And by better, I mean, why can't everyone just be like me, Sprinkles?
We atheists are much more intelligent than all you other stupid people. We got it all figured out. So why can't you just be like us?
I'm the Sprinkles. I got named after what guys leave around the toilet when they sprinkle, but I know everything and you're wrong and I don't like it because everyone in the entire universe has to revolve around me. Dude, grow up.
Grow up.
Yeah,
Grow up.
Sprinkles, get used to it. You guys had your, keep in mind, for many years, I talked about atheism here and there. I focused on Islam. I wanted you guys to be able to run your little experiment. I believe when people have some really, really dumb ideas, they just have to see the consequence. They can't get the dumb idea out of their head until they actually run it as like an experiment and see what happens. You guys had your little experiment of, hey, if millions and millions of people become atheists, the world would become better and more scientific and more rational. And the universe will be so much better if tons of people become atheists. Okay, that happened. What happened? People went insane instantly. Societies are actually collapsing right now. You didn't get any sort of scientific utopia. You didn't get any closer to one. So guess what? You made your predictions. Your predictions all failed. Now people are giving up on that. It's becoming less of a live option for people. So get used to it. It was a stupid position, and it's been exposed as stupid.
You have stolen my dreams. Yep. Nobody cares. Sprinkle.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's why we had to sprinkle a little knowledge on you.
Yeah. Get some sprinkle of humility, Sprinkle, from the most humble.
There you go. You have to be miserable with us.
Hymns of Haim says, Mojizia, I pray that one day Ali Dawa will proclaim I gave my life to Jesus, and I'm proud of that.
And I'm proud of that. I gave my life to Jesus, yeah? And I'm proud of that.
Dude. In Jesus' name, God, Christ bless you, AP and Daily Wire. Thank you. Appreciate that.
This is this little difficulty with like Ali Dawa, Muhammad Hijab, Andrew Tate and stuff. Like I just posted a video about Muhammad Hijab and Andrew Tate when Muhammad Hijab is like,
if you don't stop pushing Andrew Tate, he's going to turn into David Wood. You don't want him to turn into David Wood and destroy Islam, do you?
And then I started getting these messages. Hey, David, you should focus on like preaching to Andrew Tate. Wouldn't it be great if he converted? It's like in my mind, like, it's weird because you do want these guys to be saved. You do want them to change, but I don't want these guys on my side as far as like representing. And it's always possible they could have some supernatural transformation, just like personality. These guys are narcissists. That is like, it would always be an issue. Are they converting just, to help themselves for some like just for them, for their perception or something like that? It's a weird situation, but yeah. So apart from actual supernaturally changing someone's complete state of mind, I would not want those guys on my side because they will always do more damage than they do good.
It's very, very much true. Very true, man. Last Spicy Ramen says Christ can heal trauma, and the radiant beauty of his resurrection does indeed unfold into the goodness of a perfect soul therapy. Batista's P.S. saw Where Are You, Adam, and was blown away. God bless you, David. What is Where Are You, Adam?
No idea. I think it's Yo, Adam, where you at?
It wasn't it cool that Wes just joined us yesterday during the live stream?
Yeah, that was funny.
Where Are You, Adam is a documentary that, a documentary about the plot of the film unfolds in the ancient monastery of Dokiar on the west coast of Mount Athos on the Aegean. Interesting. Never heard of it. Maybe I'll have a look at that. Is it in English? I hope it's in English. Where Is You, Adam? That's what it's called. Where Is You, Adam? Okay, I'll have a look. I'll have a look at that. Celeria Rosencross says 3 things. I'm glad that the Islamic Dilemma Project is such a powerful and important one, so it feels worth it to half-third my video output. Finally, I have a video that has reached 500 views as of earlier today, and I'm 1 subscriber away from 200 as well. Nosebleeds really suck. Powerful. Go subscribe to Celeria if you want to have a bunch
someone
of
get Celeria over 200 right now.
If you want a bunch of nerd content about Islam, subscribe to Celeria. Celeria Rosencroix.
On a serious note, guys, one of the most important things anyone can do this year is learn the Islamic dilemma. Everyone needs to learn it to some extent. Either learn just the basics, just the basic argument, or learn it in detail. And you've got plenty of material right there from Celeria, who's been going through this stuff very carefully. But everyone needs to learn it this year. This is not something that a few apologists or a few YouTubers need to learn. This needs to become the year where it becomes common knowledge. Jai was doing it as a joke to explain it to Sajid, who these guys never seem to understand the basics.
Sajid.
But he made a children's book for Sajid, and everyone's like, yeah, that should actually be a children's book. In other words, imagine a world where we're actually training Christian kids to know how to respond when a Muslim says, oh, your book's been corrupted. And just imagine a world like that. So anyway, that's the way it needs to be. I've been saying for probably 14 or 15 years that if I could change anything in the world of apologetics, it would just be getting Christians and Muslims to understand what the Quran says about the Bible, because it would change every single discussion between Christians and Muslims. So learn that this year, ladies and gentlemen. Learn the Islamic dilemma. Do that.
The Islamic trilemma. A positive Allah, glory to God for your conversion to Christ, AP. Thank you indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Glory to God. Mark J. Congratulations, AP. Happy to see you finding peace. Tomorrow is a big day for me as well. I am being confirmed in the Anglican Church in North America.
What? The Anglican Church? It's not the Orthodox Church. Shame on you. You'll be humiliated.
Thank you. And congratulations to you, Mark. Congratulations to you. What church is AP joining, says F? The Orthodox Church. Also, you're asking specific, Greek Orthodox. The Greek Orthodox Church.
Yeah, hey, you need to tell the priest there he shouldn't be explaining things in terms of kebabs. He should be explaining them in terms of souvlaki.
Oh yeah. Cool. So I'm joining the it doesn't really matter which one you join, but just for it's the GOARCH, the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America. That's it.
Yeah, to all you Greek Orthodox priests out there, don't be explaining things in terms of kebabs and hummus. Explain everything in terms of souvlaki and tzatziki and ouzo.
Well, the Mahdi does not use the restroom. His pee is stored in Heroes is greater than Döner. I have to say, I have eaten both of those very, very bigly, very frequently, very often. One is Turkish, the other is Greek. I like both of them very, very much. And I think depending on place and time, I think I don't prefer one over the other. They're both pretty good.
Hey, I have to say, I'll just go ahead and point out what's called a gyro here.
Gyro.
Yeah, what people call a gyro here. Over in Greece, they called souvlaki, but that could also mean something like a kebab. It's just meat on a stick. But then they would also call a souvlaki. Walk in and say, "I'll take a souvlaki." It was like, what's a gyro here? I have to say,
gyro.
They tasted massively over in Greece. What they would call a souvlaki, which is what they would call a gyro here, is probably my favorite food on the planet.
Right
so
now.
if you Turkish guys have got something that's in the same ballpark at that, I would be seriously impressed.
I'm looking at it right now.
Wait a minute. No, I had a bunch of Donner stuff in the UK last time because we ate at a Turkish restaurant every day because these guys were super cool. So yeah, that sounds pretty good. But a souvlaki in Greece, like the gyro kind, is I'd say better.
I'm pretty sure that the souvlaki is actually different from the gyro. The gyro is just as like thin.
I'm saying what they called it. I'm saying what they called it. Over here, you've got the meat, and so I've seen it where it's meat on the stick. Then I've seen it's where the thing that spins and they shave it off and stuff like that. I don't know if it's just where I was. If you went in and ordered a souvlaki, it's like this thing. It's like a pancake, and they put the meat on there and the stuff, and then they'll toss some. It's like their version of French fries on there. Some yogurt, some oil, some seasonings.
Yeah,
but it's banging. But I am confused about the terminology, because I'll go one place souvlaki means one thing, I go to a different place souvlaki means something else.
I think technically souvlaki is just the one that is you have chunks of meat put in or on bread, and the gyro is the one where you have cut off the thing, and then like thin meat put into wrapped bread.
I remember I liked it so much. I want one of those in my kitchen, man. I want one of those big spinning things in my kitchen. How cool would that be?
That'd be awesome. Awesome.
Hey, you know what would be cool? At least for like a party or something like that, you're having some big party, just go contact like the Greek restaurant and be like, hey, I want you to bring that cool thing over there. I want that sitting on my counter. I want to be super cool shaving stuff off.
They do that actually. There are lots of people who do that. I don't know if you can find stuff like that in America, but in different places they do that, where you can invite.
Of course, if you've got the money and you say, I want you to bring over that giant meat thing over here, and I want it for my party, they'll do it.
I want to eat the whole giant meat thing myself. Christian P says, hey, David Wood, should I join my local Catholic church or an Orthodox 30 minutes away? Oh, hi, Apostate Prophet.
You should join a good Protestant church so you don't have all this extra stuff that they've added in.
Added in?
All this extra stuff. I mean, just think. AP's like, hey, I'm 1/12 of the way through my 17-month conversion to Christianity. It's like, what happened to the Bible? Hey, you believe now? Okay, cool. You're a Christian. Walk into a Protestant church, say, I want to become a Christian. Boom, done.
Yeah, I would say Christian P. I would leave it up to what you find out when you look for guidance and pray about it. But I'm not going to tell you where to go. Although I'm supposed to tell you to go to an Orthodox church.
He didn't ask you though. He asked me.
True. Ida goes on, people who are not from Israel don't really know how Israel deals with illegal settlements on both sides. Let's say it's more harsh for Jewish settlements. That's what I reckon.
Wait, hang on. People who are not from Israel don't really know how Israel deals with illegal settlements on both sides. Let's say it's more harsh for Jewish settlements. Interesting.
Yeah.
That was a response to the topic that came up earlier, guys.
Yeah. And Ida is right. Knows too much as Muslims ethnically cleansed Jews from the West Bank in 1948. Prior decades to frame Jews as settlers in Judea is BS. There's an entire industry, NGOs spreading propaganda on violent settlers. This is true. One of the prime examples is Hebron. Hebron was, or Hebron as you would call it, was a Jewish town forever without interruption. It was a Jewish town, Jewish-dominated town, and during the Mandate years in 1929, 1930s, and so on, they kicked out all the Jews. They left. There were no Jews left. They ethnically cleansed the Jews from a town that was Jewish for more than 2,000 years or 3,000 years. So, crying about the resettlement of those areas is a little bit hypocritical. Circa SG07, all Zut were tanners tending to most leather strap. This makes sense. This explains everything. Will, why Christianism specifically?
Christianism.
Christianism?
Why Christianitism?
I don't even want to read the rest of your comment here. I don't care. Celia Rosenkraut, this chosenness is why I argue that the Bible doesn't just teach virtue ethics. It teaches that one must seek after virtue and act in accordance with it, but also that one is ethically bound in accordance to one's circumstances and position. One will be punished or rewarded in accordance to what duties bind you, what power you have, and whatever you use, and whether you use the power and follow the duty well. Yeah, I don't think there's anything about it well, but yeah, pretty much. Pretty much Syria. Thank you. Sankey, I can't imagine that David doing yoga in prison, to be honest.
To be fair, that was when they had me in an isolation cell. And there's literally nothing to do. You can't play. When you're in a dorm, you can play cards and watch TV and stuff like that. When they got you in isolation, you're just there in a cell and you have nothing. That's what I was doing it.
Actually, so there was a phase where David was putting on spandex outfits and stuff, and then doing I
took my yoga mat.
Yeah,
took my yoga mat.
Doing yoga there, and then he was after done with yoga, he would do aerobics and stuff like that. Like so, pretty good times. He still does it sometimes in private. He just doesn't want everyone to know. Steven Santiago, I believe if you do enough research, it's possible to be at least 95% convinced of the evidence for Christianity. I have to say, as much as I talk trash about reason and logic and evidence and all that, I did over the last months, occasionally when I had questions, look into certain aspects of the historicity of Christianity and of the Bible and all that. And the case for Christianity is very solid, looking at whether the claims or the history of the New Testament as they are explained, as things unfolded, are plausible or not. There is very little reason to doubt the official account of Christianity as it is laid down in the book of Acts, for example, or in the epistles of Paul and the writings of Peter and all that. So there is very, very little reason to doubt that. You have clear evidence that there is a that there is a large number of people that we know for certain did come together and did witnessing each other write about the things that unfolded during the lifetime of Jesus. We know for certain that that Jesus was there. We know for certain that he was executed. We know for certain that much of what is described about him did indeed unfold as it is described. Even people like Bart Ehrman, for example, will say that. We know that most of what we know about Paul is factual. Most of what we know about Peter is factual. We know that he was directly in contact with the disciples of Jesus. We know that they worked together and collaborated. We know that there were many people around them that they interacted with in their time in Jerusalem and also outside. The thing is, the only thing left to question is whether the supernatural claims, the supernatural occurrences did indeed happen or not. The only things left are whether the resurrection and the miracles did indeed happen or not. Because outside of the supernatural events and outside of the resurrection, we are pretty much sure that that most of what is described in the New Testament is confirmed to have unfolded the way it is described. Even secularly, we can confirm this. So much of it just comes down to, do you believe that these supernatural things occurred or not? And that is the big question. Do you agree with that, David?
No one is going to listen to any dumb thing you say until you've learned from your experience.
This is true.
And from studying. So, AP, come back in 5 years and answer some questions.
This is true. But how do you think, David, if we look at all the New Testament writings and confirm that everything happened as it is described, and there's only one question left, which is, did the supernatural events which are described occur or not? What do we do with that question? What do you think?
Obvious. Put it this way. If something supernatural did not happen, you're stuck with an even bigger problem and bigger mystery. Because at the very least, even if you want to be extremely skeptical, like far more skeptical than what AP just said, you are still left with a group of first century Jews concluding that a man rose from the dead and appeared to them, and they start worshiping him. Whatever explanation you come up with, it has to account for that. So again, we know we can trace back to within the first 2 years of Christianity the claim that Jesus died on the cross for sins, that he rose from the dead, and that he appeared to Peter, James, the rest of the apostles, eventually the apostle Paul, and so on. So we can trace that to within 2 years. We can also trace back to the earliest Christian church, their belief in the deity of Christ. Why? Because it's why the apostle Paul was persecuting Christians. It's why he was, nope, I have to stop them from doing this. That was within the first 2 years, because Paul becomes a Christian about 2 years after Jesus' crucifixion. So his persecution is in the first 2 years. What's that mean? You're talking about the very earliest Aramaic-speaking church where Jesus' apostles were the leaders of the church. This is the church that's worshiping Christ and praying to Christ and so on. So you have to explain what convinced these guys. And you can point out that, in the past, centuries past, the children of Israel were drawn to polytheism in various circumstances and so on. Yeah, that happened up until the Babylonian captivity. Then that was gone. That was gone. They didn't flirt with polytheism after that. So first century Jews were among the most diehard monotheists who've ever walked the planet, and the ones who were following Jesus all of a sudden started saying, this guy rose from the dead and appeared to us, and we're worshiping him as Lord, because that's what he claimed. And so you basically need something big in terms of your explanation. You need something big to explain this. And the explanations that atheists use, none of them ever actually fit the evidence. I always, it's a legend that came about decades later. No, it didn't. It was right there at the beginning. They saw a hallucination. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You had multiple people claiming the same thing. So anyway, and his friends and foes, they're not all in the same mindset to all be receiving these hallucinations and so on. So the point is, if Jesus didn't make these claims about himself and verify them with something supernatural, nothing else makes sense. And so you have to go with stupid explanations. I don't want to go with the stupid explanation. I want to go with the explanation that makes sense. And guess what? The only explanation that actually fits all the evidence well and does so without strain and accounts for all of it is Jesus made these claims about himself and he rose from the dead. So that's what I'm going to believe. I'm not going to say, but I will never accept the supernatural explanation, even if it's the only thing that accounts for the evidence and makes sense. In other words, if you're going to be a skeptic, don't just be skeptical of supernatural claims. Be skeptical of stupid naturalistic claims that don't make any sense and don't fit the evidence.
In short, B. The thing is also what's very interesting, and this is a kind of what I one of the reasons why I appreciate my early explorations in Judaism before coming to Christianity, is that along the way, as I'm dealing with Christianity and also exploring Judaism, I was often very curious about how the Jewish rabbis viewed Christianity and whether they can attest to whether something happened around the time of the emergence of Christianity and the New Testament or not. And it is very much in traditional Jewish history, where Jewish scholars talk about it, it is very much attested and kind of confirmed among Jewish scholarship that something extraordinary and something weird happened, something possibly supernatural happened around the time of Jesus, that Jesus himself was possibly supernatural in the way he did things. Of course, they have different explanations for this. Like I think Maimonides says that that Jesus worked wonders, and that people actually were convinced by him because of the wonders that he worked. Of course, he doesn't really give an account of whether he believes that on where those wonders come from. But he says that he worked wonders. His conclusion is then later on, of course, that he's not the true Messiah, but that he helped bring people through wonders to the belief in a Messiah in preparation of the future Messiah, for example. Like, this is where he goes into a different direction. Then there are other scholars, other rabbis. There were writings over the centuries from the very early days of Judaism post Christianity, where they wrote about I don't know whether Jesus was a a good guy who worked certain wonders and certain miracles, whether he got those miracles from a bad source and all that. But even the Jewish sources, this is not just Christian claims, even the Jewish sources early on agree that something was going on. Of course, they can come to bad conclusions now about Christ, or to good conclusions, or just leave it up to we don't know, let's just move on. But and then you have Josephus, you have the historians and all that, and they attest to Jesus being around and working something amazing, and then being unjustly executed. And then you have the earliest writings of Paul, who interacted with so many people who attest to his writings. So something weird happened around that time, and now it's up to us to decide why it happened and who to trust. And I think I chose my trust. I believe. I fully believe. That's that. F made a super chat. Thank you so much, F. Paxton said, I can't describe the hype. I'm sorry. I can't describe the hype I had the day I heard you started going to church early this year. I'm glad the Holy Spirit is working through you. God bless. Thank you very, very much, Paxton. I appreciate that. It was kind of weird because my wife started going to church, and around that time, so that was a time where I'm still kind of experimenting with Judaism and doing Jewish practices and Jewish prayers and thinking about that. And she tells me, and she asks me if I want to go to church with her, and I'm like, no, not really.
Oh, I will
And
never
then
go.
next weekend she comes and says, would you like to come to church? I said, no.
No, I will never go with you. It will never happen.
There you go. And then she asked me again, and I say to her at some point, I don't really want you to invite me.
Stop asking me.
I'm not really. I don't feel like it. I don't really want to do that. But then a time comes where I'm actually interested, and I ask her if I should go to church with her, and she says, "Yeah, please." I'm like, okay. I don't know how it happened, but only a short while before I first went for the first time, I thought to myself, I don't know how to deal with this situation. I really don't want to go. But then things changed. And the way I felt about it changed very, very quickly. And I went for the first time, and I felt quite awkward about it. But it was stuck in my head. And then I think 2 weeks later, I think the following week I didn't want to go. Then the week after that, I said, I want to go to church with you. And that was the first time that I participated, and I was I loved it. I don't know. I guess you could believe that it wasn't me, that there was prayer, that there was the Holy Spirit, that something worked and I changed. Because honestly, I felt ice cold about it. And I was wishing to myself, I hope she doesn't ask me again. Seriously, this is literally how I felt. I felt, I hope she doesn't ask me, because I don't want to say no again. But then I changed, and suddenly I wanted to go. It's very funny. Very funny. Steven Santiago, the danger of your belief not being logical is when the journey gets too challenging, you could quit and use it was illogical as an excuse. No, so what I mean with not logical is not that it's not is not that there is no amount of logic in it. What I mean is simply
that's not your reasoning for
precisely.
Yeah.
That's not what I focus on.
That's not your reason. That's not your reason for converting. Oh, this is the logical position. Therefore, I'm going.
Yeah. So I didn't do this whole, I have now analyzed all the arguments and calculated the results, and this is what I think, in my estimation, given the calculations, is the most reasonable. I didn't do that. So, and I'm not interested in doing that either. So, that said, I don't think it's illogical at all. I think it's pretty goodly logical. Reading retake Constantinople when? By the way, congrats, AP Galbas. Very soon. In a few months, we will take back Constantinople. Thank you. Podzing, AP, what do you think about rascals? That's pretty insulting.
Rascals wager.
AP, what do you think about rascals wager now? You have recently expressed similar sentiments, but in the past you have called it foolish. David, do you remember a few days ago I sent you a message in which I told you, what do you think about this argument?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think what I expressed to you was kind of similar in a way to Pascal's wager, or do you think it was different?
Some of the stuff you've been saying in recent months is similar to Pascal's wager in the sense that it's sort of pragmatic reasoning and so on, thinking about where different things lead. And so with that said, everyone acknowledges that there are problems with Pascal's wager because there are all sorts of weird things. One, it seems to rely on what's called doxastic voluntarism, meaning you could just decide what to believe. And you can just decide based on outcomes and stuff. And it's kind of, reality's not like that. I couldn't right now just decide to believe in Islam. I just couldn't. So anyway, it's just like, there are certain things that are not just completely under the control of your will. So there's that. Then he's assuming that there's a 50-50 chance of,
that was my problem with it.
Yeah, 50-50 chance on whether God exists and so on. And I mean, who's starting off like that? It's not a coin flip starting off with whether God exists or doesn't exist. Someone might be like, I'm like 99% sure God doesn't exist, or someone might. Anyway, the point is, who's starting off like that to where if you have a coin flip situation, yeah, you can decide, you might be able to decide based on just pragmatic considerations and so on. Okay, well, this would be better for this reason. So you've got that it's this 50, you've got that it's this sort of 50-50 scenario. And then he also includes the element in there, so if you decide to go with God, then you gain eternity. It's like, wait a minute, no, there's a lot more than just believing in God that would be connected to whether you get eternal life or something like that. It's not just believing in God. So it's more than that. So anyway, there are all these problems that everyone acknowledges. With that said, it does make perfect sense to factor into what you're believing, the implications and the impact and so on, all the pragmatic. It makes sense to take those things into consideration in your reasoning. So that, in other words, that's not the problem with Pascal's wager. The problems with Pascal's wager are some of these other things.
Yeah. The thing is, I think that the way Pascal's wager was presented to me, and that I kind of went into it for much of the time was that it focused on what if not, or what if, and I don't even know, honestly. I don't even remember if that part is actually part of the actual argument. But is it, David?
Which part?
What if God exists, or what if God does not exist?
Pascal. See, here's the thing. Pascal's one of the pioneers of probability theory, right? And I think it was started as like how to solve like little issues in gambling or something like that. And so it kind of takes off. And it was said at the time when people actually started understanding probability that if you took one person who actually understood probability and transported him back to the Roman Empire, he could have taken over the entire Roman Empire just by betting and stuff like that, by understanding basic probability. So people become really, really interested in probability. What Pascal does as one of the pioneers of probability is just say, hey, why don't you think about this? Because he's thinking about, lots of people are thinking about probability in terms of gambling. So it gets presented as a wager. And it's actually simple. I mean, just imagine it. Imagine a roulette wheel. Imagine a roulette wheel. Not even like a real roulette wheel will have black, white, and then a couple of green. But just imagine it's 50-50. It's all either black or red. And it's going to be one or the other, and it's 50-50. Now imagine you get to place a bet. And if you vote red and you're right and you win nothing. You don't get anything. But if you bet on black and you get an infinite amount of money. It's basically that situation that he's pointing out with, hey, if you go with this and you're right and you have eternity to gain, why would you not go with that? If you're right because you bet on red and you win nothing, how in the name of common sense from the perspective of a gambler? In other words, Pascal's wager is like a gambler's dream. I make a bet. It's a coin flip of whether I win or lose. If I win, I get everything. If I lose, I haven't lost anything because it was all pointless to begin with. If God doesn't exist, it didn't really matter in the end. So all I can do is win eternity, and I lose nothing. That's like a gambler's dream, and that's kind of what he's pointing out. In reality, he's just trying to warm people up to the idea of being more favorable to thinking about the implications of having an infinite payoff in a bet would be a dream scenario to a gambler. He's saying, why don't you incorporate some of that into your thinking about God? Like, hey, there are huge things to be gained if this is true. So why don't you think about it a little more carefully?
Well, the reason why I'm asking is the reason why I said that, or why I asked about that aspect, is that to me, Pascal's wager was often very, very unappealing. Aside from finding it logically problematic, it was also unappealing to me because it was very much about what you gain or what you lose. And to me, still, as we speak right now, it never has been about that. So the whole aspect of afterlife and eternity and all that, in all honesty, I don't think what will happen to me in the afterlife has had a little bit of an impact on whether on my decision or on my eventual state of believing in God or believing in Christianity. I don't really take that into consideration, and I'm not saying that because I want to be special or anything. I don't know. I never really thought. I never really think about the whole afterlife aspect of it. I still don't think about it very, very much. Maybe this is a flaw. I don't know, but it doesn't really mean much to me. And
so you can lose. You can not be impressed by that. Yeah, you can be not impressed by that, and you could formulate it completely differently. Like, okay, if suppose it's a coin flip. So keep in mind, some diehard atheist is never going to be convinced by this argument, right? Because the diehard atheist isn't granting 50-50 chance of this being true and so on. But this is basically most effective for people. There are people who are just, I don't know, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah, I see why you're arguing this. I see why you're claiming this is true, but maybe it's not true. People in that kind of situation, like, I don't know, might be true, might not be true. Those kinds of people, hey, think about the implications of this. But yeah, AP, it wouldn't have to be think about the implications for your eternal state. It could just be think about the implications for your life right now, if this is actually true. Your life right now would be massively improved and massively better if you believe in the truth.
So somebody who was at isn't the afterlife the main point, though, said Forest Dweller. This is still a question that I have big problems with, because to me, honestly, it is not. I don't know what else to say when people ask this or when I'm confronted with this issue. I know that to lots of people, and maybe this is also the main point of much of the Bible or much of the biblical message, which is to eternal life, or life after death and all that, or death. I don't know why. Maybe it's a flaw about me. I don't know, but I to me, it's not the motivator. It does not motivate me. And I think about the afterlife, or for years I have thought about the afterlife only in one regard, which was about it was more about logic and about justice. Whether it makes sense that God would put humans to test and then eternally reward or eternally punish, or eternally, if you don't want to say it's reward or punishment, or eternally give them bliss, or eternally leave them in a state of torment. So the only in that regard was that question ever relevant to my thinking when it came to the question of God. It was never really relevant to my afterlife, to, oh no, what happens if I die and there is God, or what happens if I die and there is no God. I never really thought about that. It's a justice matter. Even right now, as we speak, one of the main questions that I had as I was going into Christianity was, I asked my own priest and others in the church and people who are in the position of educating me on these matters about the question of God's justice for all humanity. And I think I have gotten satisfying answers. And at this point, what I think about it is that I have faith and hope in the eternal wisdom, and in the unlimited, infinite mercy of God. This answers my questions about God's justice in the afterlife. Do I think about it in terms of my own afterlife, my own eternity? Not really. And you might think that's weird. I agree.
No, afterlife played no role in my conversion either. It was, am I wrong? If I'm wrong about my position, and that is leading me to live like this, and there's something true, and I should be living a different way, I want to know that. I want to know that if there is some actual truth about the way I'm supposed to be living and so on, I want to know that. And so that's what it was. It wasn't, oh yeah, and I'll get to spend eternity in heaven or something like that.
Powerful. That said, to answer the question, actually, would I nowadays still think that Pascal's wager is foolish? No, because I was often, when I was responding to things, even up until months ago, responding with great arrogance, honestly. So today, if you ask me about Pascal's wager, I would say it doesn't personally appeal to me. That said, it could help others. So I don't know. Yeah. And this is just me being like extremely humble, because the title is right here, the most humble Mahdi. What else do you expect? Alerius Verus, AP never went to Hagia Sophia, but he will now. Yeah, when I take it and make it my home. Drew Traver, blue and white are great Sky Daddy colors. I like them too. Yeah. Jack Ray, our Lord Christ is the best of examples. Powerful. Amen. Zarofel, David, how is Matt 25 evidence that the Bible presents Jesus as God when Jesus tells the 12 apostles that they will sit on 12 thrones, plus judge the 12 tribes of Israel?
This is really, really weird. I don't know how this became a serious objection, because it should literally take you like 5 seconds to think through this to see the problem. But who argued this recently? Was it Alex O'Connor? Who argued this recently where I was like, are you serious? You're seriously saying that? So guys, think about this. Let me just explain this to everyone. So in Matthew 25, we say this is one of the evidences of the deity of Christ, because throughout the Bible, God is presented as the final judge. God is the one who will judge and who decides the eternal state of people. In Matthew 25, Jesus says that he's the one who's going to sit on his glorious throne, and everyone's going to be brought to him. Again, according to the Old Testament, that's Yahweh. Yahweh is the one who's going to do this. Yahweh is going to be on the throne deciding.
His name. It makes me cringe when you say his name.
Jesus says that he's the one who's going to be sitting on this throne, and he's going to judge, and he's going to decide who goes to heaven and who goes to hell. And this response right here is, but Jesus also says that the disciples are going to sit on 12 thrones, and they're going to be judging the tribes of Israel. Okay, are you interpreting Jesus is the final judge who decides who goes to heaven and who goes to hell, means that anyone who is a judge in any sense is God? Are you interpreting our claim that, hey, the Bible says that God is the final judge who decides who goes to heaven and hell, and combine that with Jesus says that he's the final judge who decides who goes to heaven and who goes to hell, and therefore Jesus is God? Are you interpreting that claim that the final judge is God? You're interpreting that as any judge of anything is God, and therefore if there's a judge at the local courthouse, that him being a judge means that he's God. Are you interpreting human judges as are you interpreting us saying that anyone who judges in any sense is God? Because if so, that's not what anyone has ever claimed. That would be absolutely insane and stupid. The disciples being judges is not them judging who goes to heaven and hell. That's not, you're talking about a different kind of judge. These are judges who are deciding on worldly affairs and so on. So yeah, weird stuff. Weird stuff.
Weird stuff. Real Loving It says, I know I'm late. I'd be grateful if someone can explain to me why AP is wearing that. So here's the thing. Lots of people have been asking this, but so as I was on my journey of approaching, Christianity and the Orthodox Church, I heard repeatedly and read repeatedly that one of the first things, or one of the great things that you must do to join the church or to become a Christian, is to make great changes about yourself. So I thought to myself, how can I change things about myself? And I thought, I could get a new outfit. I could get a new look. So this is why I'm looking like this. And it's also very common in the Orthodox Church to look like this. So hope that answers the question. Soldier of Christ says, as Dawood said, it's an exciting time for Christians. Not that following Christ was ever not exciting, but seeing diverse apologists today is exciting. Just need unity. Seeing Wes Huff was based. It was very, very based. We will have him on for other stuff quite soon, I would say. I would think. Yeah. Avinav says, real love it. It does. Thank you. Yeah. I hope you didn't take that seriously, but yeah. Avinav, hey, AP, just curious, who did you pick as your patron saint, and could you maybe share why? Thanks. So I explained this before, but Saint Martin of Tours. Saint Martin, who is very well known in the Catholic Church, especially in Germany and France and parts of Europe. I am picking him as my patron saint, and thereby also picking Martin as my own name in the church. So the reason why is when I was a child in Germany, I went to a Catholic kindergarten where I first heard about Saint Martin. And then when I was in school early on in Germany as a little Muslim child, one of the first things that I learned about Christianity was Saint Martin, a man named Saint Martin. I didn't know much of what that was about, but we sang a song in school in Germany, which was like Sankt Martin, Sankt Martin, Sankt Martin. Dun, 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 dun. And the story was basically about how Saint Martin was a soldier, a Roman soldier in the 300s. I think he was a child of a pagan or part Christian family. Was very interested in Christianity, but his father didn't want him to be a Christian or to be to be religious. He went into the army, but he's very interested in Christianity. One night, on his way back from wherever he's coming from on a very cold winter night, he encounters a frail man who has very little to wear and who is freezing, and he's asking for help. So Saint Martin stops and takes his cloak, his big Roman cloak, and cuts it in half and gives half of it to that man. And the man is very thankful. He wraps himself and warms himself. And then Saint Martin goes home and goes to sleep, and later has a vision of Jesus who comes to him, and that man appears and says, "This is the man who helped me." And or in a different story, it's just Jesus coming with the cloak on his back and handing it back to Martin, to Saint Martin. And then Saint Martin is very impacted by this and leaves the army, ceases being a soldier, and goes into the monastery and becomes a monk, and later becomes a bishop and is appointed as Bishop of Tours. And yeah, so we sang a song about how merciful and how awesome he was. And the thing is, as a little child, it really warmed my heart to learn about this merciful guy who goes and helps this old man. And I didn't know much as a Muslim kid. Later I got it. But that thought of Saint Martin always stuck with me, and I loved it. I loved what it represented. And then coming to Christianity, this was like one of the first things that I remembered from my childhood. And I thought, if I have to pick a patron saint, it would be perfect to pick him who stuck with me when I was a child. And it's also a very nice bridge because I love the Western tradition and I'm joining the Orthodox Church, and I can pick a Western saint that is also considered a saint in the Orthodox Church. And I asked my priest, and he said, "This is awesome." So, yep, that's what I'm going with. La la la. Hope this is a question. Timothy Freeman. Vatican, Sancti Apostoli Petrus et Paulus, decorum potestate et auctoritate confidimus ipsi inter cedam pro nobis ad Dominum. What does that mean? What does it mean? Saint, Apostle, Peter, and Paul something authority. What does that mean? David, what does this mean? You know Latin. You don't know what it means? Shame on you. Shame on you. Aisha Jung. Was the Zutz situation the reason why Muhammad started wearing a leather strap for safety? Yes. A pusillanimous leather grape on Zabiba machine of the cow says a Jewish rabbi influencer named Not Jew Boy started a cryptocurrency called Jew Power in response to a Groyper crypto called Jew Proof. LOL. That's funny. Good Godfather says, I predicted your conversation a year and a half ago. I told my wife, welcome home, AP. Check my music and tell me you love it. I will check it right now. Who are you? Who are you? Oh, let's see. Good Godfather. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll check it out after this live stream. I put a mark on here. How about that? Channels, found your channel, and gonna check it after I'm done with this. Powerful. I appreciate that very much. But now I'm really curious what this means. Timothy, did anybody translate what this means? Did anybody translate what this means? You're muted.
Why don't you paste it into a translator? Could have done that 5 hours ago.
I don't want to do it. Fine, man. Fine.
I'll do it. You go to the next comment. I will find it and look it up.
Okay, fine.
And then you can quit crying all.
Fine, do it.
Do it.
This says, big up your chest, AP. Congrats upon finding God. Your spirit turn up now. Hold the faith in Guam. Bless up the place. I wish I could do the accent properly. Appreciate it. 3 Chapters Club, James White versus Corey Mahler debate reaction soon. As much as I find that debate incredibly grotesque, I'm kind of curious about what kind of ridiculous things they've said during that debate.
That's interesting. I'm not curious at all, so nothing coming from me at any point, I don't think.
Did you look up what the phrase means?
I'm looking it up now, man.
Yo, coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York.
You understand? First of all, according to existing conditions.
Such a dork.
Okay, so that means the holy apostles Peter and Paul, that was the easy part, in whose power and authority we trust. Okay, and you could have gotten authority out of there. Matter of fact, you can actually see what this means when you're actually looking at it, because of the cognates. In whose power and authority we trust, they will intercede for us with the Lord.
Powerful.
That's the claim.
That's good. That's cool. That's the truth. Thank you. Appreciate that. And thanks to David for translating this powerful truth. Actually, you know what? Thinking about it again, I'm completely not curious at all about what they discussed here. So I don't think I'm going to react to this, considering that James White, who I'm not necessarily a great fan of, but have some respect for, is literally having a debate with a Nazi after rejecting debates with other people because they were too mean. So it's kind of weird. I don't know. But David is very curious about this, so he will probably have a look at that. Just don't throw a donor party with donor meat served. A donor party with a donor. Might send mixed signals a la Jeffrey Dahmer. Man.
It is interesting now that you pointed out that his name's Jeffrey Dahmer, but there was actually the Donner Party.
There was?
Do you know the Donner Party, AP?
No. What is it?
That was like, I think it were like some, way back in the day, they were trying to head to California or something like that, and they got stuck, and they had to become cannibals to survive.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. So
that sounds like my kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it wasn't just a play on Dahmer, it was a Donner Party.
Oh,
let me see. Donner Party. Donner Party was a group of American pioneers who traveled to California in the 1840s and became trapped in the snow during the winter of 1846 and 1847 in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Their journey was marked by several misfortunes, including a late start and a decision to take a shortcut over the mountains, which led them to being stranded by heavy snowfall. To survive, some members resorted to cannibalism, eating the bodies of those who died. Oh, so they weren't killing each other. They were just eating the bodies of those who died. Eating the bodies of those who had died of starvation, disease, or exposure. Donner Party is a well-known example of the dangers and hardships faced by pioneers traveling westward. Well, yeah, I guess. It's an example of the danger. Yeah, if you're becoming cannibals, that would probably be an example of the dangers of... Anyway.
Yeah. Shakespeare, if Internet becomes the next David Wood, does that make Muhammad Hijab more of a prophet than the prophet of Islam? Yes.
It would, yeah. He would at least have one fulfilled prophecy.
Yeah. Powerful Apostate Prophet 2025 Anno Domini. Yes. Meredith Grotti says, yesterday when you said Mojab would be joining y'all, thought AP would do Jordan Peterson. How about no? We don't want sloppy ethics. Keep up your avalanche. Thank you. Gospel Hearth, all my homies love Jesus. Rigo Barney, good to see you both. Thank you so much, and good to see you here, Rigo Barney. Appreciate that. Ligamathigayon, what's up, Ligamathigayon? While Islam is definitely peaceful, is it fleeceful? What does Allah say about cotton? What about felt, silk, finest cashmere? What about linen, denim, satin, chiffon? Is muslin the only Quranically appropriate fabric? Tell me, kafir.
You're talking about muslin.
This reminds me of... There was a stupid tweet.
Yes, it was.
There was a stupid tweet. Do you remember the stupid tweet?
Which one?
Yeah, that's funny.
I agree that it was stupid, but which one?
Now I'm looking at a meme, but then I'm getting completely messed up recommendations. Oh yeah, here. Anyway, it's much worse than I thought it was. But the tweet was basically F Muslims, really total piece of zero elasticity and tears so badly. And then a responder said, this is bad mentality, not all of them are bad. And then the responder says, she's talking about a fabric. That's basically what it was. Is it fleeceful? This is good. Danglitz, Corey, AP, love your content. Welcome to Orthodoxy. Would like to ask what drew you to Christ as an atheist ex-Muslim? Well,
how many times does AP have to explain things? It's like, what's even the point of explaining it now when 10 minutes from now someone's going to ask the exact same question?
I'm going to explain it in a video.
I'm saying, yeah, you need to make a video, and that way, and because people are going to keep asking. Because keep in mind, yeah, I'm kind of joking here. Dang it, Corey. The point is, if we have 1,500 or 2,000 people watching a live stream, it'll be a different live stream, and there will be a bunch of people who are watching that live stream who didn't watch this live stream, so they won't even get the response. And so, yeah, I would say make a video that you can always point people to.
This is true. CO says, before David became a Christian, while he was in prison, he would beat up midgets and take their sweats to wear as capri tights. This is true. Didn't you tell me this happened?
One, it was jail, so we didn't have sweatpants. We had jumpsuits. But yeah, I had to beat up a midget and squeeze into his little jumpsuit so that I could have yoga pants.
Interesting. Avinav W, Mrs. Apostate. Indeed, W to her. Toasted, how do you respond to people who say only Groiper Christianity is real and that it means treating non-Christians as second-class citizens? I would say read a book.
Yeah, I'd probably just say that's so idiotic it's not even deserving of a response. Put it this way: if you're talking to someone who's stupid enough to actually adhere to this position, you're probably not going to. No amount of evidence is probably going to reason them out of it.
Very true. Come Walk With Me says, I'm blessed by the work of the Spirit in your life, Ridwan. I had the same sentiment toward Palestinian brothers in my hometown. God said, you're right, but do you love them? Pray for the lost. Be blessed. Thank you. Appreciate it. As far as I understand, this is a Messianic Jewish symbol, isn't it? Are you Messianic Jewish? Come walk with me. Would be very interested. I think that's a messianic Jewish symbol, isn't it? Powerful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Toasted, over 1,000 saw Baal Shem Tov's miracles. Thoughts? The funny thing is, as much as I was interested in Jewish, in the Hasidic, in the mystical aspect of Judaism, I never ever looked into the Baal Shem Tov's life and what people believe and say about him. But there is no denying that there might be something to it. I don't know. Have to look that up. I don't know. I know that he's a very significant figure in Hasidic Judaism and all that. Powerful. Knows too much. Your thoughts on the Ebionites? Didn't believe Jesus is God or virgin birth, or the Nazarenes didn't believe Jesus is God, but he is to virgin birth. I would say that believing. So it's kind of weird to affirm that that Jesus was indeed born of a virgin, but then not to believe in his divinity. Because the entire point of the virgin birth is the divinity or divine origin of Jesus. So they believe that he's in some way the Son of God, but then debate what exactly that means. When it comes to the Ebionites were, to my understanding, a heretical movement rather than connected to the origins of Christianity. And I don't see any reason to have any regard for their beliefs. What do you think, David?
Yeah, here's basically what's going on. So these groups emerged probably late in the first century and so on. Definitely around by the second century and so on. They fizzle out. Why do they fizzle out? Keep in mind, so in the first century, Christianity is this persecuted minority. It spreads to different areas, but you end up with a bunch of people who have respect for Jesus or have heard about Jesus' miracles and so on, and people start going in different directions with this stuff, right? At first, almost anyone can say anything they want. In other words, if you're in some town and you heard about Jesus and so on, you can start saying, hey, yeah, I believe in Jesus. I believe he's the Messiah and so on. And you can sort of come up with your own group and so on. Eventually, the testimony of the apostles spreads, and eventually it's put into documents that spread around, and positions that were out of line with the testimony of the original followers of Jesus, they fizzled out. Why? Yeah. They didn't line up. And so as something is spreading rapidly, weird groups can pop up. As the authoritative documents are put out, the authoritative preaching is put out, the authoritative traditions are put out. If you're not in line with those, it's not gonna work out for you.
The funny thing is, the immediate followers, those surrounding Jesus, and those who come immediately after Jesus, and those basically confirmed by and authorized by Jesus's own disciples, have one narrative, and that narrative is in line with Christian belief as we have it today, very much. So they present the story of Jesus as it is, and the beliefs about him. He comes, he works miracles, he dies, he's resurrected, he proclaims to be the Son of God, he proclaims to be divine himself, and so on. And they write about the virgin birth. Now, if he was very special and was on a divine mission, and his immediate followers, those surrounding him, those he chose, on those chosen and those chosen by those he chose, if they present the message that we have today, why would I go and trust those who completely deviate from the very people that Jesus himself appointed as teachers and authorities? It makes very little sense.
Yeah, and it's weird how people become fixated on these different groups. I don't mean knows too much. They're just asking. I just mean like some people. What about the Ebionites? Oh, the Ebionites. Yeah, guys, there are reasons these groups didn't make it.
Yeah. But thank you, knows too much. These are good questions, interesting questions. A late Nazarene offshoot could have influenced Islam. I think it was. So the theories. I don't know why, but there's a general theory that Muhammad's wife's cousin was a Nestorian convert, or that he was a heretic of some other sort. In any case, he was definitely a heretic and a recent convert who didn't know much about Christianity. And it seems that that person had some influence on Muhammad's beliefs.
Yeah, the idea is that the Emperor Justinian expelled heretics from the Roman Empire. A bunch of those heretics went down to the Middle East. And so you have kind of a mixture of heresies going around. So you have all kinds of heresies and heretical ideas that are going around. And yeah, some of them do end up in Islam.
Powerful. It could be some Aryan thing. I don't know. Late Aryan. Asa, Wagwan, Dread, love the new look. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Asa. This is my new Orthodox Christian look. This is what Orthodox Christians look like. Meredith Grotti, actually, Yeshua said the kingdom of heaven is at hand. There are those who believe the kingdom is to be here on a new earth. We are to bring his kingdom. Yeah, there are different theology. I think David is just as disinterested as I am in that kind of in that topic, right? I think you don't care much about the whole eschatology aspect for some reason.
Yeah, you can't interpret Jesus preaching the kingdom of heaven is at hand as inconsistent with other things. There are multiple aspects to the kingdom of God. To be clear.
True. Asa, your wives are looking. Ladies, boys, make sure you look after them. I don't know if I can call it lucky. You know, it must be a pain. It must be pretty painful. But thank you. I appreciate the sentiment. Marky Young, have you given some thoughts to the fact that EO Church is not recognizing David Wood as a saved Christian? At least anathema for icon veneration. Otherwise, happy you are a Christian now, brother. Congrats. So here's the thing. There are different. There have been different views inside the Orthodox Church. The traditional view of the Orthodox Church is that from the beginning, the Orthodox Church, which includes, prior to the schism, the Catholic Church, has, as it is said, been given the apostolic succession and the fullness of the faith. So that's it. And then the general scholarly or patristic view has been that we can say that this is where the church is. But then when it comes to other Christians, anathema, for example, is an issue that is often misunderstood. And I don't want to act like a teacher now, but this is basically what I learned and is pretty much confirmed. You can look it up. Anathema has historically been done not to point out that a certain person is doomed or is not saved or cannot be saved. It is rather done in order to distinguish somebody whose views or beliefs are deemed heretical and dangerous to the church from the church. So the person is advised on their heretical ideas or problematic ideas, and then if that person doesn't recant those ideas and doesn't change, an anathema is placed on them, and that just means you are separated from the church now. You can no longer commune with us until you correct your ways. That doesn't mean that the person is condemned. It just means it is supposed to be an encouragement for that person and for others to change their ways and to return to the true church. That's it. All along that, the Orthodox Church has never takes a position on whether that person is saved or not saved. The general idea in the Orthodox Church is that as people, as members of the church, we cannot ever say about anybody this person is not saved, because the ultimate judgment is always up to God. Only God knows the state that the person is in at the time of death, before the time of death, after the time of death. This is actually what kind of what gave me lots of comfort, because I had lots of trouble with the justice of God aspect. And then I learned that the actual way, contrary to what lots of people like to say on the internet, is that in the Orthodox Church we are not supposed to make any statements about this person goes to hell or this person is not saved. And this is even true for this is especially true, I would say, I just limited to that for now, but this is especially true for other Christians, unless, actually without unless. We don't say about anybody that this person is not safe, this person will go to hell. We're supposed to say we don't know, and we cannot make such a judgment. It is all up to God. And I find great comfort in thinking that that for myself and for everyone else, everything is up to God, and I have trust in His full, ultimate, unending, infinite wisdom and mercy. I personally don't find the idea that God would be unjust to people based on their preferences or their conclusions appealing or logical. So I don't even agree with the idea that David Wood is not saved if I'm part of the Orthodox Church. Hope that answers the question. David, what do you think about this?
I've never cared what people think about me. So
powerful. That's pretty good. CO says, Saint Martin, Roman soldier of the 300. Why did I not see this in the movie? Hollywood always suppresses the truth. What movie?
Let's talk about the 300, man. The 300 with Leonidas.
Terrible joke. Terrible joke.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
How dare you? Robert Ronin, I was in the army as a quartermaster. Out of curiosity, I looked up the patron saints of quartermaster, and it's the same Saint Martin. Yeah, he is considered the patron saint of soldiers, of wanderers. He's also known as Saint Martin the Merciful.
And Saint Martin the Based.
The super based, actually.
Hey, you could be Saint AP the Based.
Yeah, I was actually looking at a saint whose name sounds kind of like based, so I could adopt that as my patron saint and then be called based in the church.
Saint Basil the Based.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe I could ask my priest to modify the name of Saint Basil and call me based, so that when I go up to him at communion, he could say based.
Yeah,
but it didn't work. So yeah. Unfortunate.
People and their traditions.
Yeah. Answering LDS said, Mahler said that Augustine wasn't black. Okay, the thing is, Augustine, as far as I know, he was a North African, but he
was Berber, so they're kind of like in between their own group, right?
Yeah. So when people say black, they often refer to sub-Saharan Africans in this conversation. And he wouldn't have been included in that category, I guess, then. Yeah. The AP, opinion on people viewing Orthodoxy as ethnic-based, thus not diverse, or as accepting as Protestantism and Catholicism. Why did you choose Greek? Also happy you're close to your baptism. Congrats. Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, the thing is, people are not entirely wrong when they say that in the Orthodox Church there seems to be a lot of ethnic stuff. It's because the Orthodox Church never had the whole thing of being united under one head, and then everyone universally goes for that. It's been the Orthodox Church is very decentralized, and decentralization then often leads to each country having their own church, and that being ethnic and so on. That said, I don't really consider that a problem. It's also not very ethnic in America. So I chose Greek for very simple reasons. The church that we went to is Greek. That's it. I don't know, maybe something else played into it. I also like Greek stuff. Maybe the fact that it was Greek made it appealing to me and I wanted to go back. I don't know. But thank you. Appreciate that. Templar, please do more Jordan Peterson. That was amazing. What do you mean? What are you talking about, man? We don't do Jordan Peterson. If you want to hear Jordan Peterson, you can click on a Jordan Peterson video. It's bloody awful. JA, do you guys work out? David doesn't. I do on a regular basis. Yeah.
I go back and forth. I'll work out for a few months and then injure myself and then take a few months off while I recover. And then, so yeah, guys, get in shape while you're young, because it's harder when you're old.
It's true.
You'll keep injuring yourself. And plus, when you injure yourself and you're young, if you're in your 20s and you tear something, you're fine again and 2 days later and stuff. When you get old, you tear something and it's like months.
Yeah. If you're young, do not waste your time. Work out Do it now before it's too late. When you're old, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's already bloody hard. Karen Fisher, AP, have you seen the movie The Saint with Val Kilmer? All these disguises remind me of that. No, what is that? The Saint?
He was like a master of disguise. And what was he, an assassin? That was a long time ago, but yeah, I kind of remember that.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, they called him the Saint because he would always use the name of various saints as his fake name. I remember that now. That was a long time ago. Totally forgot about that.
That sounds exactly like me. That's funny. Byzantine Warrior says, we have seen the true light. We have received the heavenly spirit. Welcome, brother. Appreciate that very, very much. Appreciate that very bigly. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway, David, anything else you want to add? Thanks, everybody, for being with me here today. So I want to quickly summarize. I did say some words about past conduct and how I want things to be and how I command everyone else who watches this stream to be in the future. And yeah, I am on a straightforward path to getting baptized very, very soon, inshallah. And to answer your question, does AB now believes in God? I absolutely believes in God. I absolutely and fully believes in God. Let me say that. I had issues with when people ask me about that, but right now, if you're going to ask me about it, I absolutely do believes in God, and I also do express this and pray on a daily basis. So I do believes in God, and I also praise every day. So, yeah. I always found it cool that Jesus was tugging at AP's heart since he was a kid singing St. Martin. I so badly want to play a kid's St. Martin song right now, but then I don't want to get this copyrighted by...
Definitely get copyright.
The bad people.
You just have to sing it yourself.
St. Martin, St. Martin, St. Martin, it does thy name.
Yeah. I leave you with this here. Wait, it's muted. I don't like that. I want kids singing it. Yeah. Yeah, very cool. No, it always stuck with me, and I always loved it. It was a very, very beautiful attitude. Anyway, David, anything else? What are we doing tomorrow?
I've got a couple of options. Not sure. I've still got to check out Sajid's video, see if it's worth responding to, and if so, it's worth it. If we're going to respond to it tomorrow, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Powerful, you see.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. Zen said your beliefs are dumb, all of you. Well, it seems that you are the only smart person alive, so wonderful. Powerful. How did you do that, man? How did you become the smartest person in the world? And why are you wasting your time here with this? Don't you have better things to do with your life as the smartest person out there? How about get out of here? Steel Israel, congratulations, AP. I'm a Christian. You're a blessing. Love you, brother. Thank you so much. Love you too. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, have a fantastic day. And I kind of want to play music now.
Tell me now, my brother. Why do you say my books changed? When your own book told you to read it. Something don't add up.
Something don't add up, man.
They say the Quran straight from above, every word from the mouth of God's love. But then it tells me the gospel is light, and to judge by what's in it, that's right. So I open it up and read what it says. Jesus died and he rose from the dead, but your book says no, he never died. So which one's true? Somebody lied. Who Who told you to judge by if it's broken? Why call it light, then claim it was stolen? You can't play both sides with one story. Your claim crashes down in all its glory. Surah 5 says to follow the word given to Christians straight from the Lord. Surah 10 says if you're unsure, ask the people who knew it before. But our gospel says Jesus is Lord, crucified, risen, that's what's stored. And our scriptures older than yours, written down long before Muhammad's doors. So tell me, friend, what do you choose? If you pick both, then both you lose. If the gospel is true, the Quran is wrong. If it's false, then why does it play along? And if God's word can never be changed, who corrupted it and who arranged? And why does your book lean on mine while calling its heart a faulty sign? Who told you to judge by it if it's broken? Why call it light, then claim it was stolen? You can't praise the map, then toss out the way. You build on the rock, then dig it away. Now some say only part is true, but your book never said which part to view. Is it Matthew or is it John? Tell me which verse to lean upon. But truth ain't served by picking and choosing. That's not faith, that's just confusing. You either believe it or say it's a lie, but you can't stand in both camps and try. Or are you saying it's a trap and the prophet got it all mismatched, and the message built on contradiction, and the claim lacks solid conviction? Who told you to judge by it if it's broken? Why call it light, then claim it was stolen? Can't hold the sword and preach about peace. Can't affirm the word, then call it deceased. It's either from God or it's a fraud. The house won't stand if the walls are flawed. So tell me now, what will you choose? Truth doesn't lose when it's under review. Our word stood firm through fire and storm, while your book, well, it can't stay warm. Truth is one, it doesn't twist. This is the paradox you can't dismiss.
Powerful, powerful. Wasn't that beautiful?
Beast.
And here's the cover, Islamic Dilemma. See? Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. And as always, which roughly translates to the following.
It didn't work, man. Didn't even hear it.
Again, man. What is this, man? Here.
There you go. Hey, in the picture, though, you should be smoking a blunt made out of the Quran.
I should.
Stay away from Islam.